Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we discuss the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
Hola to our listeners, and hola to you, my friend, John Campbell.
Indeed.
I've been taking Duolingo Spanish classes, but all I've learned so far is hola.
You got to start somewhere, right? I never got past lesson 1.
That's okay. That's okay. Yes. How are you doing? You doing good?
I'm doing all right. About as well as I can be after watching Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
I am starting to see the same pattern with the Universal things, which is there will be high marks where we're both just giddy. My fingers are crossed for next week. No spoilers, but next week.
I know.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, same here.
This week was you got to take the medicine. You got to do the castor oil. This was not.
I went in with low expectations, and somehow it still sunk lower. Because we know from our Universal experience that the Mummy movies are never going to be the grade A stuff, it seems like. And I don't know why that is, but it's always
the pattern.
The
pattern is repeating. It is the same pattern. I at the end of this, I was trying to think, do I prefer this effort to a foreign Universal movie? And all I could think is the Universal ones are the so bad it's funny ones.
Yes.
And their attempts at comedy and so forth are just dreadful.
They're also blissfully 60 minutes long, and this movie's only 80 minutes long.
This one, I actually think the pacing is better than on a foreign one, except for, of course, the reveal of, or actually getting to the mummy is like, really, guys? Really? Are we still going? And there's no mummy yet?
I did take note of some time codes on this one, so
you can't surprise me because I was thinking it as I watched it. But yes, for our listeners, we'll get to talking about just how far in we go before we see.
I will say there was a distinct point about halfway through the movie when I thought, is the twist going to be that there is no mummy? I actually thought, is it going to be this is just people enacting the curse?
I knew that would not be the case simply because I've seen photos of the makeup, which actually helped lower my expectations before I watched, because
is this the worst mummy makeup we've seen? This is in the running for worst mummy, and we've seen bad mummies, but
I will hold off because that's in my little write-up.
Okay.
I've got a take on that.
Yeah,
but this one, listeners, again, thank you for staying with us.
Yeah, because
we hit rough patches. And the last two movies, even though the last one did have the amazing Peter Cushing, have been tough sits.
Yeah, this one this is an 80-minute movie that it took me 3.5 hours to watch. I kept going. You know what? Let me pick up that Batman comic I was reading last night and just finish that up.
I stopped once just to eat, and didn't eat and watch at the same time because it's like, you know what? I want to focus on my meal and enjoy it.
I want some kind of highlight in my day. That meal never tasted so good. Oh boy! All right. Well, I know you don't have a ton of background on this movie.
No.
Nor befitting how lazy the film itself is. I'm not surprised.
Well, even my normal sources, and I'm not pretending that I'm nose to the grindstone and I'm going to the library, and I can't go to the library anyway. But
I love the idea of you with giant scrolls and a magnifying glass going upon the making of Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
I did some Google searching, and I go to Wikipedia, and I have this book on the Hammer films. The book on the Hammer films is pretty dismissive of this one too. It has a very short write-up, and there's not a lot to say about it, which is where I start off.
I think overwhelmingly forgettable is a good word for this movie.
Kinda. There's like one or two things that I say is memorable in it, but even those are, So I'll kick off. As I just said, there is not much to say about 1964's Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Hammer in the mid 60s was settling into a groove of annually produce one or two of the monster thrillers on which they were making their name. They would do one or two a year. Just as with Universal, the Hammer brand was originally known for integrity and innovation, but soon became an economic but reassuring machine, just a factory that churned these out because that's where the money was and their rep was being built on it. So in the same year they had returned to the adventures of Baron Frankenstein and the Evil of Frankenstein, they also returned to another iconic monster, this time the Mummy, or a mummy, as I should say, as this reanimated Prince of Egypt is no relation to the bandaged baddie played by Christopher Lee in 1959's The Mummy. So just like Universal, they immediately ditched their first mummy concept and go into another one because this one works so much better.
I was shaking watching this. I couldn't believe how terrified I was of this mummy.
Also, your blood sugar was low and you're diabetic.
That's true. That's all right. I ate some almonds and I was fine.
I had an Oreo cookie and I was good to go. This lesser entry in the Hammer canon is at least interesting as a good example of the small studio's family business core. As I've covered before, the company was founded in the 1930s by Enrique Carreras and Will Hines. And we've already explored a few of their offerings that were produced and written by Anthony Hines, son of Will. This week, however, we have an entry written and directed by Michael Carreras, the grandson of Enrique. So it was all in the family. The tidbit here that I find amusing is that Anthony Hines wrote and, of course, produced, but wrote such films as Brides of Dracula, Curse of the Werewolf, and Evil of Frankenstein under the pseudonym of John Elder. Mm-hmm. Whereas lifelong cohort and familial buddy Michael Carreras wrote this film under the pseudonym of Henry Younger.
Yes.
Elder Younger. Cute.
Yeah.
See?
I mean, I'll say this, more clever than anything in the movies they wrote.
Absolutely. And what isn't cute, I would say, is yet another substandard makeup job by Hammer stalwart Roy Ashton.
Substandard on this one, really.
Jeez. What's going on, Roy? Was everything okay at home? Because this is a rough go. Falling on the heels of the worst Frankenstein's monster makeup I've seen outside of a suburban Christian youth group haunted house. This is...
I think this. I got this Amazon box lying around. You want to paint it green and glue it to somebody's forehead?
That is... But that was a terrible Frankenstein
We're
monster.
on par with that here.
This mummy makeup, plus the body they're putting it on, no offense to this guy, just a terrible look. Because he's a tall, rangy guy, mm-hmm. not the wrestler that we had, but a guy with kind of a
Dickie
gut.
Owen is the mummy here.
Just, he looks like he, a perfect mummy in my, mind is going to be Karloff. Sure. You need someone gaunt.
Yeah. Because
you're going to be wrapping them up. And the impression should be there's barely any flesh or muscle. It's almost all bone. That is creepy. A corpse coming to life and coming at you, a wrapped up corpse. So when it's a normal shaped person, and I'm not saying this guy was completely out of shape, but it just looks like a guy territory. In a baggy, it's a baggy set of pajamas.
Yeah, it always
is.
And
you have this terrible mask. This thing is awful.
I mean, it is a mask. It looks like a Halloween store mask, and a bad one at that.
This one's take actually has the mouth completely covered. Now, other versions have had, the parched lips and wrapping kind of around or whatever. This is just like, let's not even bother with mouth because person's not going to say anything. I did like the sound effects that they used for the mummy.
I agree.
Was an interesting and cool choice here. And we're going to take any kind of little glimpse of creativity or inspiration where we can with this
between one. Here, yeah.
Anyway, so that is all I had to say on it. There was a quote from one of the reviewers, which I want to find. It said the Daily Cinema from '64 said, "Eerie but routine shocker thrills, but hand it to Hammer, they've got this kind of scary hokum down to a grisly art." I mean, when you're saying, okay, it's routine, but I'll give it to them. They've got this stuff down. It's like just saying, oh well, more of the same shit.
Yeah.
Which is not exactly very flattering.
It's not, and this is low quality though, really, even by Hammer standards. I'm longing for the days of Anthony Hines at this point now, because I do agree
that it's surprising that they go back to the Mummy well. At least a couple more times. We'll be hitting some more Mummy films.
From what I gather, they have none of the Mummy movies have any connection to each other.
Right. And yeah,
we'll try again with another Mummy.
one thing that really shows up, and this isn't their fault, but one thing that always shows up, the limitations of what Hammer could do. I still love that this is a little studio doing what they can and getting international acclaim for it. But anytime they try to evoke a place that isn't Middle Europe or the British countryside, especially, we've had 2 movies now that are like Egypt, and you look at it and go, no sir, no.
I mean,
that is soundstage B is what it is, because that is.
But honestly, this one makes the Cushing movie look like they went to Egypt. I mean, that looks like it was archive footage of it, because this thing, oh my god, if you thought when you thought it couldn't get cheaper, here it is.
And the Egyptians are the whitest guys painted brown I've ever seen.
Yep.
These are literal Cockneys who have like boot black smeared on their faces, and they aren't convincing for a second.
No. Oh.
Except for we do have the return of George Pastel, who was in The Mummy.
Yes.
And he, as we mentioned before when we talked about him, was of Greek heritage, but he's their go-to guy to play a Turk or play someone who is Egyptian. And I mean, he always plays it straight.
He's actually one of the better performances in this movie, I do think.
Yeah, he doesn't get as much to do in this one as he did in the last one, but he was welcome. I was welcome. I was like, yay!
He played Mehmet Bey last time. He plays Hashmi Bey this time. So he just plays Beys.
He just when they do a biopic of him, it'll be the man of 1,000 Beys. He's good. Yeah, and no one in this movie is terrible except for maybe the female lead.
I mean, I don't even know that she's terrible. She's just not good.
There's a less than flattering thing in the Hammer book about her as well, where the producer basically said, well, we hired her because she was ornamental. They found someone, they're like, you'd be convincingly French, even though she was Burmese. And she is convincingly French. She's just not a very good actress, but they literally just said, she's pretty, put her in this movie. Hammer, come on.
That's Hammer.
Let's get, before we start talking about the movie, John.
Oh, yes.
I have a feeling you'd like to talk about the poster.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel obligated to talk about the poster. I don't know how much I want to talk about the poster.
I'm doing this for the fans.
Yeah.
They ask and they ask and they ask. Okay, fine.
Every week, somebody sends me an email saying, you gonna talk about that poster? You gonna talk about the poster this week? You better talk about it. I want to hear you talk about it. By the way, all of our listeners are located in the South Bronx.
Well, that's where our signal reaches.
Yeah, that's it. It just goes there. So it's just like, I love it. Right? I love it when those guys talk about the monster movies.
I don't know this Jones. I don't know this Campbell guy, but when they start talking about monsters, I'm there.
I'm in it for the meeting of the monster pot. It could be anybody meeting monsters. Now, Curse of the Mummies 2. Number one, way too much text on this poster. That's my first.
Yes. Yeah. Here's something I'm going to encourage you to do. We'll talk about this poster, but I also would like you to do a Google search, just Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, because the IMDb page, which is what we're on, does not show you the absolutely batshit insane British quad poster,
Let me see
which
here.
you need to see.
Oh, my God, is this the one from Wikipedia with the
Yes, it's on Wikipedia.
gigantic mummy?
Oh my!
What movie is this? This is not the movie we watched.
No, it looks like the Hulk, or it's this huge golem-like muscled creature smashing rocks and holding a woman in his arms, and the woman is tiny compared to him.
I'll say this: I want to see this movie. I'd rather watch this movie. This looks interesting. Yeah. This is a new take.
With the tag 5,000-year-old monster on the rampage.
Oh, you got me. Oh my God, it's what the Indicator, which is a British home video company, their Blu-ray release of this. It's the cover for that. Is this poster?
Nice.
Because oh my God, that's
well.
insane.
This would have been the original poster because it gets released in the UK first, and then I'm kind of glad, even though the US poster is also terrible. But
US poster is this one is more astoundingly bad. The US one is a little bit more just comically bad.
Yes.
This is like, I don't even know. Nobody knew what this movie was when they made this poster, right? I mean, they had to have just thrown this together and been like, I don't know,
they
Mummy.
took a couple production stills and did painted versions, and it's just goofy.
We gave it to Lou. His perspective is just not quite. He's got depth perception problems, and so he's
Over on the left-hand side of the US poster, you have Mummy holding Shrieking Girl. Yes. And it is the actress. It is a version of the actor who was wrapped up as the Mummy.
Can we talk about how prominent his eyes are, though? And his weird, like, hey, get back.
He's got cartoon, not shown in the movie at all, cartoon white eyes, with the little black pupils. So it looks like he's going, hey, stay back. Hey,
with his hand, just his hand out, going, no, we're fine.
No, I got it. I got her. She's mine.
Yeah,
and she's
leave us alone,
shrieking like
it is monkey. As wide as a mouth can be. Yeah, it is. It is a monkey-like expression. I will say,
and a weirdly reduced bosom.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it is quite heaving in the picture itself.
Yeah.
So they're in some kind of tunnel here. I guess that's the titular tomb.
You could assume, maybe.
But then
badly painted.
Yeah, but they go, we need to jazz this up a little bit. How about you just put two guys' heads, just jam them into the wall there?
Yeah, over on the right-hand side, you have one actor I recognize, and that's Fred Clark, who's wearing the hat there. He's the token American in this film.
Yes. And what an American he is.
I love this guy, and I've loved him in various TV shows and movies. Yeah. He's a recognizable face and personality. Totally. But yeah, so he's one of the little heads, and then I'm not sure who that other little head is supposed to be.
Honestly, it looks like Lon Chaney Jr.
To me, it looks like because of the way the hair is, it looks like a monk. It looks like they got brother somebody to come in.
Oh, hang on. We accidentally put the wrong head on this. Who cares?
Who cares? No one's going to remember this shit. Okay. All right. So that's awkward and badly done.
Yeah.
Then we get the text, The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. We're not getting to the taglines yet because I got to keep talking about the art.
But do you love the way the curse is in a different font?
I do like that, actually, because it breaks it up.
Yeah. It's one of the only thoughts made on this poster in terms of design.
And this is all pretty shoddily done, but this is what I'm going to assume happened. The guy they hired, who was probably someone's nephew, to do this poster.
I should hope so, yeah.
He was like looking at it. He had done his work with the pastels, and he's like, yeah, I'm liking this. He had drawn over the the photograph is like, yeah, and I reduced her boobs. Okay, that's good. That was a studio note. All right, great. I'm gonna go to lunch.
Yeah.
Then his 8-year-old child wandered in and scribbled on Daddy's work and drew a sarcophagus outline.
Yeah.
With crayon. And he's like, oh, you know what's scary? A spider is scary. And draws a dangling spider on a web.
My favorite part. There aren't even any spiders
Here's
in
the thing.
movie.
The sarcophagus is forming an inset panel.
Yeah.
And you know how I love those inset comic
I was just going to say, yeah. And I mean, I'll give him the clever idea of using the sarcophagus shape to be the inset panel. Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. But before I even get to the art that we are seeing in the inset panel, the sarcophagus is so terribly done and childlike that it even has a skeleton hand.
I know,
which is not related to what's happening in the picture.
Yeah,
but a skeleton hand is sticking out of the sarcophagus.
Just put a little skeleton hand coming out.
Again, all I can think is, boy, the 5th graders at Mrs. Whatever's class are going to be blown away at Halloween when I put this up on the wall.
So spooky.
Okay, and then the art inside the inset panel has the little dangling spider, has a cheaply done sky, then has a representation in a badly drawn manner of the mummy strangling a guy, we don't know who is reaching up a hand to try and stop the mummy, but it's not going to happen. He's just going to be strangled to death.
No one can stop the mummy.
And I will say the 8-year-old is on a path to being as good an artist as his daddy. They're neither good artists. Good Lord, is that
off the
shabby.
old block. Yeah.
And then
just because not enough sex appeal quite, let's just stick a belly dancer over in the lower right-hand corner a bit.
It is the belly dancer that we see for a weirdly long time in this movie. Mm-hmm. But she has nothing to do in this movie except for belly dance, but they stuck her in the corner of this poster.
Like somebody's looking at the poster going, I don't know, mummies maybe. Whoa!
Skeleton hand. Oh, hello!
Honey, we gotta go. We gotta go to it right now.
Listen, I was out on these Hammer films. They weren't doing it for me. I saw that poster.
Yeah.
Saw that little belly dancer lady.
You won for the belly dancing picture. The one, the curse them. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Sir, you bought tickets for every screening today. Can you promise us that you've gone to the bathroom before you came?
I'm not promising anything.
I make no promises.
I'm not getting out of that chair.
With the belly dancing
when it gets to the credits, start it up again.
But the belly dancing scene's over. Hey, she might come back.
She might come back. Run it up to that part and then run it slow.
Yeah. Sir, we don't have that technology yet.
Run it slow.
Here's the thing. That's the guy who invented that technology because he was so upset they couldn't do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this guy invented rewind and fast forward and slow-mo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. People thought it was for sporting event stuff. No, just for pervs.
Just for pervs.
Here she comes, belly dance again. Oh, boy.
Look at that belly dance.
So it's a terrible poster.
Yeah.
It is a terrible poster. We haven't talked about what it says on it.
No, because
John.
I also love that the thought here is, the art's not very good. Let's put as many words on it as we possibly can.
This one has a paragraph, an actual paragraph.
Well, so we start with half bone, half bandage, and all blood-curdling horror.
And before you say it, no, I'm not going to get new business cards printed up because I've done too many since we started this podcast.
Yeah.
I say this should be yours. You should.
Half
John
bone,
Campbell,
half bandage,
half
and
bandage,
all blood-curdling horror. I just love the idea of the threat, half bone, half bandage. Holy shit, this dude's half bandage? Good God, look out.
Half bone, half bandage, and I'm going to say about 5/8 beer gut. There is a beer gut there. And I know the math doesn't work. You can't have a half, and then 5/8. But I'm just saying there's a beer gut.
Yeah, we just let it be known there is a beer gut in this movie. And then
it really is.
if
When he reaches up at the end to tear down the spoiler.
Oh yeah. Oh, when the mummy
I'm just like,
out of nowhere for no reason commits suicide.
Oh man, this movie. Well, he had done what he had set out to do.
I think I heard him say goodbye, cruel world. So
it's weird that he said out.
Yeah.
Outie.
Mummy out.
But that we haven't even. There's still more text.
Oh, there's still more, and there's a lot more text because we now have the beginnings of the novel that is this poster.
Right.
Out of an ancient pharaoh's tomb stalks a monster of monsters with a lust for vengeance and a thirst for terror.
And then it says, turn page.
Yeah. The mummy crept up. What?
It had been a day like any other, but the night was about to take a startling turn.
Yeah, it's too much. There's too much.
Crazy text.
Pick a tagline and shorten those taglines.
From your lips to those dead people's ears.
Yeah. And
it's not too late to fix it, everybody.
By the way, listed amongst the taglines are all those, and there's only one tagline that doesn't appear on either of the posters we talk about here that's listed on the IMDb, which I think is the best one. It lives again to kill again. Short, simple, great.
Yeah.
Put that on
again.
poster.
I have bought my ticket.
Yeah.
That's all I needed. I needed that little extra bit.
That's all I needed. All I needed.
But I'm still interested in the ratio of bones and bandage to terror.
Now let's see. He's half bone, half bandage. Wow, I got to see this picture. I got to see what this guy looks like. Is he this wide-eyed, startled man on the poster? Is that who?
Oh God, who let that out of
no. This mummy doesn't look like he's rampaging. He looks startled. He looks like he's like, oh no, I didn't say that.
It looks like a comic strip artist did this, and I cannot imagine that this was. I can't imagine that the production office was pleased. They probably just said, "All right, well, these have to go.
Yeah,
I mean, we need these up, so all right, we'll pay you."
It looks like the mummy is trying to reason with the people hunting him. Like, hey, whoa, just be cool, buddy.
Whoa. Yeah, it does look like, all right, just cool down. Cool down now.
Just put that gun down, all right? We can talk this out.
No, because you're half bone, half bandage.
Well, come on. You're going to judge me based on the way I look, you racist bastard. By the way, we'll get into it. This movie, crazy racist, especially against Egyptians. Holy shit, there's so much talk about those people and their trickiness.
You found this movie insensitive and racist?
I couldn't believe it. I was shocked, but yeah.
As someone who is 1/8 Egyptian, then 1/2 bone, the other half bandage, I felt celebrated by this film.
I mean, as somebody who does play an Egyptian character on a regular basis, I feel like I bring much more sensitivity than anything in this movie.
You do. Though I'm not sure we've heard from any of our Egyptian audience members. So
yeah,
let's hope they're forgiving. Anyway,
let's get into the movie itself. So the first thing immediately that I took notice of here is this is a Columbia picture in conjunction with Hammer, not Universal.
Yeah.
Columbia.
Yeah. I don't know. There was nothing in the book about that kind of distribution deal.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that we are either at the moment or quite possibly 64 might have been the year that they're, and I think it is, because I think it is exactly 5 years. I think their deal with Universal wrapped up this year. And they never did get around to doing their Invisible Man because
I would have liked to have seen their Invisible Man. We could make Peter Cushing invisible. Come on.
So their partnership may have already.
Well, I will say last week's episode, Evil of Frankenstein, was the last one in my Universal Hammer horror box set. So
there you go.
I think that was.
Yeah, I mean, they may. So it'll be interesting with Dracula, Prince of Darkness, who released that. It might have been Warner Brothers.
I don't know.
Or maybe it's
I don't know who has it now. I think I have a Shout Factory of Dracula Prince of Darkness. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be research for next week.
Yeah.
Not going to jump the gun on that.
So we open on these panning shots of a bunch of Egyptian treasures as our titles roll.
Yep, they brought out every prop that they had used in the previous movie and dumped it all in a room.
Yeah. We got our paper mache sarcophagus back.
One thing I noticed about this, and they did bring up in the book that I read, is that Michael Carreras was really fond of widescreen. This is the first widescreen Hammer film that we're really dealing with, and so every one of the ones that he directed, he just would go for that look. And there are some good shots in this, but yeah, at the opening here, it is just like, look at these Egyptian treasures.
This was my first inkling we might be in trouble, and I'm like, uh-oh. We're just going to scan a room full of treasures. What I didn't know was we'll get this same shot 2 more times in the movie.
We will. We will.
So then we open on a title card, and I am starting to pay attention now to when and where these movies say they take place, because now we say, Egypt, 1900.
Yeah. Again, it's like they are... I get that Hammer had certain props and costumes and so forth, but they really held off on doing anything contemporary for a long time. Though they were doing things like we've talked about, Nightmare and Paranoiac, things that were not period pieces. But the horror stuff, they are almost always like, it's Bavaria and it's 1880 something or other.
Well, that is definitely how I think of Hammer movies when I remember them. Right, is sort of like, oh right, those are the like Gothic period ones.
Until they get to the swinging 60s, when they, late in the day, decide to bring Dracula into AD 1972.
Oh, I cannot wait for Dracula in the swinging 70s, baby.
I can't wait either, but we're not there yet.
We're a ways out from that. So we have riders going through the desert, right into a soundstage with sand on it.
I know. I was. It looks like stock footage, but it's so specific. I was like, where would you get stock footage of like desert riders in black robes riding horses? I don't know.
Maybe,
but
and then you just reverse engineer it, right?
Yeah, but clearly Hammer, did not go to any desert to get people on horseback. No. It's stock footage of black robed riders, and then it cuts to a soundstage. Clearly, the soundstage with
the most soundstagey of sound stages.
And then the riders get off their horses.
Yeah, and they have this old man tied between 2 posts. Now, keep in mind, this is the first we're seeing. I have no idea what the hell's going on at this point.
All we know is it's Egypt 1900.
Yeah, and some guys on horses appear to be mad at an old man, and they've tied him up. And
the old man is speaking French, though. He's speaking in a French accent. Please do not. I did not mean it. And but they are not.
We'll later find out he's Professor Dubois.
Yeah. Father of our heroine, Annette Dubois. So the French archaeologist is being tortured by these natives, Egyptians.
One of the guys in the black robe pulls out a knife or a dagger, a curved bladed dagger, because it's Egypt. That looks Egyptian, sure. And he kind of runs it down, and I thought, oh, is he going to torture the guy? He runs it down his body, and then just stabs him with it. I thought, shit.
Yeah. Really, there's not a lot of dialogue here, other than the guy pleading for his life briefly, and the Egyptians, who are clearly white British people.
Yeah.
Painted brown.
They're British people, whitest of white.
And they may have said, did they say anything like, you?
I don't think they say anything.
Really don't hear. No. But they stab him, and then
so I went like, oh shit, they just killed this guy, and then almost immediately he takes the same knife and hacks his hand off. It's like, Jesus.
Here's the thing I loved about that scene is that they did it so fairly quickly, one part to the other, that when they did the stabbing, the way they framed it, I was like, yeah, they're being conservative. So it's shot from the guy's shoulders up, and we don't see a knife going into the guy's belly. We just see the guy making the gesture, and I was like, "Ooh, they stabbed that guy in the gut."
Yeah.
Of course, they're not going to show it. As I'm having the thought of they're not going to show it,
they
do show the dagger chop the dude's hand off.
Hand comes off, blood spurts out of it, and this is when I was like, "Oh shit, we're in this kind of movie."
This is where I was like, "Did they release this in 3D?" They did not.
It's like his severed hand was coming right at me.
I was stunned, and then he picks up the hand. He's like, "Yeah, I got it."
And he throws it to one of the guys on horseback, and they ride off with it. And once again, this is the first 2 minutes of the film. I'm just going, what is happening?
And then dead French guy just sags. Yeah. Obviously, he can't be held up between the two posts anymore because one of his hands is off.
Slips right out of that rope.
Yeah, no so hand. he just slumps dead to the sand. And the dude's right off. I was like, damn.
I mean, what a way to open a picture. It got my attention, that's for sure.
I will say that it also helped detract from the fact that it was so clearly a soundstage. Because I was like going, I don't care if that's someone's backyard. That dude just got his hand chopped off.
And we watched every second of it. We saw the knife go through a hand. Yeah.
And blood.
Yeah.
It was good.
I then immediately started to lose interest when we cut to our two leads. Our lovebirds here, John and Annette.
Here's the thing. I guess they're both archaeologists. She's the daughter of the French guy, but an archaeologist in her own right. And so is John. It's John, right?
Yes, it is.
Boring. And he's the... Sorry, John. John's a boring name. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
And he is one of the other archaeologists on this dig, and he's handsome-ish, but he's sort of like maybe early 40s. I was like, wow, he's a little older than the lead.
That's what I took from it. Yeah, he's handsome-ish. He's charming-ish. You know, he's fine.
The thing that cracked me up is they're archaeologists, but we cut to their tents at the dig, and it's pretty fucking lush. And I'm sitting there going, 1900 archaeology must be paying off because they're in the middle of the desert, but the food spread they have out there, and they've got people attending to them. Like, geez, luxury. We made jokes about, always it's the local workers actually doing all the digging, but this is the most sumptuously showiest show of wealth I've seen in these movies yet of the archaeologists.
For half a second, I thought, have we cut back to the museum and that's where we are?
Yeah, you'd think that you're back in London or something. Yeah. No, they're out there and they're very sumptuous.
You want to talk about where we have less money? We don't even show the dig in this movie. It's already done. It's over. They've already found all the shit.
They've already found all the shit, and they're just talking in vagaries here about, yes, well, we'll see about what we're going to do, and all the pieces have been cataloged, and that'll do. And she's like, yes. And he goes, and then when we get back to London, you'll marry me. And she's like, yeah, I guess.
Well, she is very. She's like, it's very odd that my father hasn't returned. And this is where I'm like, oh, he got stabbed and his hand cut off, didn't he?
John, in my mind, that's actually you talking to the screen. Did you actually? Oh, well, he's not coming. I'm sorry, Annette. Oh, he got totally his hand.
I have terrible news for you.
But she doesn't have to wonder too long about what happened.
Although I do like this whole thing when he talks about, save it for Paris because she says, you're not trying to get me drunk, are you? And he goes, well, no, I wouldn't do that till we get to Paris. She goes, when we get to Paris, I might just let you. And I thought, double entendres. They have no chemistry.
I gotta say, I mean, that is part of sort of this plot, is that she'll probably end up with him because he's the guy who's interested and is around.
Yeah.
Once another person shows up, she has slightly more chemistry with that person, but not as much as they wanted you to believe.
It also hurts that he's so obviously evil from the jump that
the person that we haven't met yet. But yes, that's who we're talking.
But can I briefly mention
You can.
Jean Rowland or Jan Rowland, who is plays Annette in this movie, brings me into 007 corner.
Yeah, she actually, for someone who is fairly much a non-entity, is one of the only. Well, not one of the only, but she's a double hitter.
2 Bond pictures. That's right. One more legitimate than the other, maybe, but still, she plays the unforgettable role of Bond's masseuse in You Only Live Twice, which, despite its horrible racial aspects, is actually still one of my favorite Bond movies.
You only live twice.
Great theme song.
So it seems. Yeah, it's one of the nicest. I love it.
It's a great theme song, and it has Donald Pleasance as Blofeld, the best Blofeld.
The best Blofeld.
It has Bond in a little helicopter. Little Nellie's great.
To sell me on that
Volcano Base.
Volcano Base. I love that movie, and it's horribly racist.
Oh my god,
I love it.
Bond undercover as a Japanese man is a tough sit. But it also is one of my favorite.
Stooping as he walks, and he still stands out in a crowd of all these.
Sean Connery.
Oh
living as and also just burly, broad-shouldered Connery too. Yeah, just a large man in every sense.
With his eyes scotch tape into.
But it does have one of the great Bond allies in Tiger Tanaka.
Love Tiger Tanaka too.
He's the best. So anyway, she's in that, but she also appears in Casino Royale. No, not the Daniel Craig one, 1967's Casino Royale.
It would be really interesting if she had been Daniel Craig's, an elderly woman.
She's still alive to this day, so not impossible.
She could have been.
Casino Royale, one of the weirdest entries in the Bond canon.
It's what's so weird about Casino Royale is it is a Bond parody film at the beginning of the Bond phenomenon. So you're like, really? You're kicking off Bond's films with a parody, essentially.
There's no established formula to parody.
I mean, the books were crazy popular. They were bestsellers. So weirdly, they're more parodying just the concept of a James Bond before the movie tropes have even set in.
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
The only thing I do love about it that I wish was in a legitimate Bond movie.
Woody Allen is Jimmy Bond.
You got it. No, it's of course it's Orson Welles as Le Chiffre. I would have loved to have seen him play a legitimate, serious Le Chiffre in a Connery mounted Casino Royale, or
just any Bond villain. Because Orson Welles, I would feed him the scenery. I would bring it to him on a plate. Because one thing, the man was too heavy to actually get up and get it himself.
Well, I was actually going to say at that time he had already eaten most of the scenery in Hollywood. So
I'm on a strict no scenery diet.
My doctor says if I don't knock off the scenery, I'm going to be in serious trouble.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
So yes, Jean Rowland, is. And she was in Saint episode.
Yes.
4 episodes. So she did. She kind of.
Yeah, she
did
the Saint and Danger Man.
Danger Man, but no Doctor Who.
No Doctor Who. No event. No, whoa! There is an Avengers appearance.
There is? Oh God, I missed it.
She, in quick succession across 2 years, is in the Saint, Danger Man, and the Avengers. Immediately following this movie, she does all 3 of those shows.
For an almost, no impression made actress, I am very impressed with that.
Well, I mean, her career's over by 68, so she had her run. She had her run.
She's attractive, and she's not bad in this. She's not bad.
She's not good in it either, though.
I will say that she registers shock when she finds out about her father's death. Well, but the very next scene we see that we can assume maybe a day has passed.
Yeah,
she doesn't care that her dad.
No, her father's death is almost never brought up again.
There's no lingering sadness there. It's just like
because interrupting John and Annette's romantic evening is just the instant appearance of the corpse of her father being dropped into the tent.
Yeah, it's it's some of the local workers who bring them in along with their liaison, who is the aforementioned, played by the aforementioned George Pastel.
This is Hashmi Bey.
Hashmi Bey.
Yeah.
And of course they're shocked, like, oh my God, oh, he's dead.
And immediately John is on, you goddamn Egyptians.
And he's like, your superstitious ways.
Your sabotage. You just want the whole thing for yourself. You greedy, sabotaging bastards. Like, and immediately I'm like, whoa, we're starting early with the Egyptian bashing.
And he's like, well, you understand that a lot of people see that, you desecrating the graves of our people could be seen as offensive.
I never considered that for a second, sir. But he does get his line here that sets up our title and I guess our plot. Hashmi Bey says, "You cannot run away from the curse of the mummy's tomb. We're all doomed to die." Yeah,
that's what I want. And again, I will say, George Pastel, he delivers this cheese just like he delivered the cheese in The Mummy.
He's locked in. He's locked in.
Yes, he's locked in. He sells it the same way that like Cushing sells all the jibber jabber. If you believe this stuff, if you do it straight faced with sincerity, you can pull off the cheesiest of bad comic booky dialogue. So hats off to this gentleman.
I mean, well, Peter Cushing
and he looks great.
Lee are masters of that.
Very good in the Fez.
He does. He pulls off a Fez, and I know something from Fez's as well in my work.
You do. You should have a smaller Fez, but that's the only one I have to give you. It's a little tall. Anyway.
Well, it does, because it doesn't come down. It's actually a little small, so it has to sit sort of atop my head as opposed to down on it. Anyway, maybe we should consider a new Fez for future seasons of Tesla City.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, that's inside baseball, though.
So, I'm glad you said that, because I didn't know that baseball had anything to do with Fezes. So you're really opening my eyes.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn.
So French guy's dead. She's sad.
Yeah. And of course, John immediately writes off the Curse of the Mummy's Tomb as all you foreign superstitions, you crazy goddamn Egyptians. It's like a fucking episode of All in the Family in here. Jesus.
So our delightful British Archie Bunker goes off on a rant.
This movie could have used Carol O'Connor. That's all I'm saying.
But then Sammy Davis Jr. playing an Egyptian comes in and kisses him on the mouth. It's a historic moment.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Could have used Sammy Davis Jr. Could have used any member of the Rat Pack.
64. They would have been at their peak.
Oh man, why didn't they ever make a supernatural adventure? That would have been something funny.
Oh,
Frank and Dino and Sammy run across a mummy. Could you imagine?
They would have been way too cool and relaxed to ever deal with something like that.
Frank, I think there's a mummy in my room.
Say, who is that over there wearing my pajamas? Oh, Pally.
I would love that movie and watch it every day. That's all I'm saying.
I know you would. I know you would.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Sammy tap dances with a vampire. I don't know.
All I want.
So then, distraught about the sudden appearance of her dead father, Annette goes to bed, and what's this? Finds the severed, bloody hand of her father, along with the blood-coated knife that severed it, in her bed. Dragging the body in wasn't enough. We have to double down on, he's really dead.
I think they're sending a message. It's just like the horse head in the message.
Now we need the hand, too?
You know what I'm going to assume? I'm going to assume that the body was actually found by mistake. They had originally just planned, like, we're just going to drop, because the hand had the ring on it.
Oh, because they established that later during the needlessly drawn out explanations of Egyptian history.
Yes. Yeah. So that would have been their message. And I bet they didn't plan on, oh shit, they found the whole body.
Well, they found that body quick, because they find it, get it back here before that writer had obviously already gotten back with the hand, although how long had the hand been sitting there? There's a lot of questions.
And again, it's all traumatic for this woman, but it only takes a good night's sleep or two for her to be totally okay.
And this really because we have her screaming and like, oh my God, it's the severed bloody hand and the knife. and then it just cuts to them crating up all the things they found. They're like, well, we're going to ship these back off, and we'll put that over there. And it's just like, oh, back to work, everybody, back to work.
Now, well, I'll let you walk, because again, it all blends together, and I watched this like a day or so ago.
So,
is this where our American friend makes his entrance?
Well, first Sir Giles makes his entrance here.
Oh, right, Sir Giles, who is Sir Giles Dalrymple is the head archaeologist or Egyptologist.
Giles Dalrymple. Is there a more British name?
No. And he's completely respectable at this moment.
Yeah.
In the story.
So this is Jack Gwillem who plays Sir Giles, who is actually in one of my favorite monster movies. He plays Van Helsing in The Monster Squad.
Yeah, it's amazing that 1987. Here he's not a young man in this film, so it's just amazing that he hung in there long enough to play Van Helsing in The Monster Squad.
I mean, let's see, how old is he? What is the 64? He's 55 in this.
Yeah. So
he lives until 2001. Dies at 91.
All right.
Yeah.
There's
your Jack Gwillem biography for you, everybody.
I did like him, and he was Poseidon in Clash of the Titans.
Yes.
We need to point all of these out.
He's in Lawrence of Arabia and Patton as well. I mean, this guy had a long career in a lot of great stuff. And was also
weirdly, he was mostly stopped on the street and asked about Giles Dalrymple.
Yes.
He was often having to sign autographs.
Oh, more Curse of the Mummy's Tomb fans.
Like, yes, I remember this scene. Yes. I'll sign this production still.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
He was doing convention appearances. Yes, when we were on the set of Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
Yes, my co-host. She was quite lovely. Not French at all. She was, in fact, Burmese.
Yeah, which you couldn't tell. No, of course you could. So he shows up and he goes, "Oh yes, well we should celebrate a successful desecrating of the Egyptian lands and artifacts. But I should mention that our great benefactor has arrived."
There we go.
And yes, this is where we are introduced to Alexander King, played by the great Fred Clark.
The great Fred Clark. And that name is probably not going to, unless you're just a complete film or TV nerd, mean anything. You look this guy up, you will recognize him instantly. Or, I don't know, instantly. But you look at his credits, Fred Clark nailed a particular type of character.
Yeah.
Very often stuffy, very often asshole-ish. He's great at doing the ugly American, kind of a dickhead.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love about this is this movie is coming years after one of the best movies he ever made, Sunset Boulevard.
That's exactly,
he played the character of Sheldrake, the movie producer, in that one. And he gets.
That's what. As soon as I saw this guy, that's what clicked for me is Sunset Boulevard.
And he, he gets the great line where they're like, "Well, you turned down Gone with the Wind," and he goes, "Yeah, I did. I remember saying, who wants to see a Civil War picture?" Anyway, he's a quintessential that guy.
Yeah.
And what's funny is 14 years after he made that, he's kind of playing Sheldrake in this movie too.
Yeah, he really is. He's a huckster showman producer.
Huckster showman.
Yeah.
And very anachronistically, because this is set in 1900, he's calling people baby. He's like, hey, Sir Giles, baby.
He's like a contemporary film producer of the time, yeah.
Yeah,
hey, come on, baby, we're going to make all kinds of cash.
Kid. I'm like, what the hell?
I just arrived in my time machine from 1956, baby.
I love him, and I also remember him from the stuff he did on TV. I remember him from Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah,
he actually
episodes of that.
Recurring character on the Beverly Hillbillies. Anyway, so the second he showed up,
we open on him and a monkey doing some business.
Yep. Well, he brings in this script again. Mr. Carreras, what the hell were you smoking? But he's doing what he thinks are kind of clever retro knowledgeable things. Like it's 1900, and he has this guy come in with the monkey, and he is the American benefactor of this dig. So that means he's going to basically lay claim to the discoveries because he wants to take them on tour instead of put them in a museum. Anyway, so he's a huckster showman. He mentions he's a friend of Barnum, and you're like, oh, 1900, I get it. He actually knows P.T. Barnum. Great.
Yeah.
But he comes in and he goes, I brought you guys candy from Turkey. And he opens a box and hands it out. Yeah. And they're like, he goes, what do you think? And they're like, well, it's delightful.
Yeah,
he goes,
it's
yeah, it is, right? It's delight. It's full of delight. He goes, yeah, I could market this and call it Turkish Delight. So it's like a dumb joke.
I fell out of my seat laughing at that.
You're like, oh, so Turkish Delight, the imported candy that many people know, the confectionery.
Yeah.
Apparently King is the guy who discovered it and named it.
That's right, baby. It was all me.
It was me, baby. And the bit is basically he has the monkey, and the monkey is also eating the candy, and he's like, hey, cut that out.
Hey, knock that off, you silly monkey.
He's essentially a comedic character, though he also serves the purpose of like, these are high-minded archaeologists and scientists who are, it's kind of multi-layered. In other words, the Egyptians are offended that the graves have been desecrated and defiled. The British archaeologists are serious scientists. They're offended that the crass American wants to take their discoveries out of museums and put it on the road as a road show for people to pay 10 cents a ticket to go see.
Well, because they say the Cairo Museum has offered 7,000 whatever. I can't remember what it is. I don't think it's pounds. It's something else. For this, and he goes 7,000. 7,000. What are they joking? We could make 700,000, baby. Take this sucker on the road.
Yeah. So he is our ugly American, and I gotta say, the second he walked on, I was just happy to see him. I was like,
I
not that the stuff
him.
he's given. The stuff that he's given to do isn't great, but he's elevating it because he's got energy.
Oh, because he can give this performance in his sleep, man. I mean, it is the same thing he does in Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
And countless other things, essentially. This character. And yeah, this is when Hashmi Bey is like, this is sacrilege. I can't even believe it. And he's just like, hey, who gives a fuck?
He essentially says like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And he goes, yeah. He's like, yeah, that Curse of the Pharaoh stuff, that's great. We can play that up.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be good. Yeah. Because he does this whole thing about people want to be scared, but in safety, you know?
Yeah.
That's what old P.T. Barnum told me. And he says, all right, pack all this up. We're going to London because I've already booked all the shows.
So here's the thing. I can't remember how it's revealed, but we'll find out that this exhibition gets Dalrymple kicked out of Egypt forever.
Yeah.
This guy who's devoted his life to Egyptology is now ruined because of King. So next time we'll see him, which is not for a while, but he'll be a drunken wreck.
Full on. Oh, it's not too fast that we see him as a drunk. In fact, the scene where he's introduced as a drunk is actually where we get that backstory, because he says Sir Giles there, he doesn't want any part of this roadshow thing. So anyway, I kicked him to the curb, and John, you're the guy now.
Right. Yeah. So even King fires Dalrymple because Dalrymple's giving him grief about, I will not have this turned into a next, whatever.
Yeah. So then he goes, hey, you crazy kids got to come to dinner with me. Hard cut to a needlessly long establishing shot of this belly dancer, the one from the poster.
It's like, okay, I guess we're in a nice restaurant in Cairo.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason, it adds nothing to the plot. She doesn't become a character, but we follow this belly dancer for conservatively 38 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
baby.
No, it's a good long bit where she just belly dances, and people in the restaurant, as she goes table to table, are like, yeah, all right, yeah. But it's all just killing time till we get
back to King, and he's like sticking money in her top. Oh, what's that? What'd you say? It was like, it's one of those bits where they have a conversation. They turn back, and he's basically got his face in her cleavage. He's putting money in. What? Did you say something?
He's full on motorboating her, and I didn't think that was the thing he even did in movies in 1960.
And he made a point of saying motorboating too. It was really weird.
He was making noises going, I'm like, that's just inappropriate.
And he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna call this motorboating." It's another thing that Alexander King gave us.
They don't even exist yet, motorboats, I think, in 1900.
I don't know.
Actually, I don't know. I mean, there were steamboats, but I don't know about the evolution of the outboard motor.
This guy, whatever. He's from 1964. Yeah.
This show, it'll be great.
First, I'm going to invent the motorboat. Then I'm going to call this action motorboating.
You got to make the noise, though.
That's what it's going to sound like.
He is.
He's the best part of this movie. He really is.
God bless him.
And so, yeah, they talk, and this is where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna sell tickets. I'm gonna get everybody scared about the coast."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "What's this new?" I think this is where he's like, "What's this news?" And they everybody better hurry back to the storage facility because it's been broken into.
Yes, that's right. There's been a robbery.
Yeah, but they didn't take anything. It's weird. Everything's accounted for. But when they open up one of the crates, there's just a dead body in it. And John's list of all the artifacts are missing. And they're like, oh, boy. Then it just cuts to them on the boat to London.
Well, they make the thing of like, well, so maybe they broke in just to steal that list so they know what, because these are people looking for something.
Right.
They want to know what we found.
The robbery and the murder sort of just fly by because they were immediately on a boat to London.
Nothing has really sunk in, and again, Annette is doing just fine.
Yeah. Well, she's disturbed about something, but it's not her father because she goes, "Oh, it's the strangest thing. I get the weirdest feeling whenever I'm close to that mummy."
Yeah, it's like things feel wrong and bad. Oh well. I am French.
Pretty much. And then this is when Giles walks by, drunk, and he goes, and then he stumbles by, and John goes, "Boy, it really is too bad about how he's been banned from Egypt for the rest of his life."
Yeah, that's it's a terrible blow, but he really did hit the bottle so hard and so quick.
Yeah,
it's like 15 minutes after he's found out he's no longer he's like, you know what, lifelong alcoholism, it starts now.
I've been holding it back all these years, but no reason now. Glug glug glug.
There's further bits here on the boat where John is in his blandly British way kind of trying to be charming to Annette and again intimate that, oh, it's a done deal, we're going to be together, and they do a decent job of her going, yeah maybe. She's not totally sold on him as being
that's an idea. That's certainly an option.
Meanwhile, shouldn't you go into your cabin now and be attacked? Is what she said. No, that's not.
No, because it's actually, they hear a scream from off screen.
Right.
And John runs into Giles's cabin and finds him knocked unconscious when a mysterious man then knocks John unconscious as well.
Yes.
And then this guy who did this runs out. People are screaming now. This guy runs out and grabs Annette and pulls out a knife that he's going to stab her.
Yeah, this is all basically the cabin is right off the deck.
Yeah.
So essentially, someone has screamed and been attacked, and all this has happened 8 feet away. The person runs out onto the deck, Annette's right there, and then pulls out the knife. Thank God there is a handsome other guy on deck who's willing to jump into the fray.
When this guy showed up, I was like, what? Who is this?
I know. I was also like, are we introducing a new character? Because this is the kind of thing you expect John to be doing as the heroic, guy.
Because it's this big fist fight with this guy.
Yeah.
And they're throwing punches back and forth, and then he punches this guy overboard.
And essentially you're thinking, because we find out later, this is all part of a plot. I'm sorry to give that away.
What?
But that means that essentially he's like, I have killed my own man.
Yeah.
That's how dedicated he is to his thing. So
what's funny
this is all staged.
It then lingers on the guy. He doesn't say anything, but this character we'll find out later is named Adam. He kind of adjusts his tie, and I thought, what a cool entrance. But he doesn't say anything, and then it cuts back to John. I thought, is this not a character in them? For half a second, I thought, what a weird inclusion.
Yes, because there's not an immediate him turning to Annette going, are you all right? My name is blah, blah, blah.
He says
so
nothing. He doesn't even look at Annette after this.
I know. So it does seem almost incidental that some anonymous character came in, saved the day, wanders off, and then John and Annette are talking again.
There's some badass from his own movie who just wandered through. Meanwhile, he's back to his spy adventure. I don't know, yeah.
He does have the look of someone who was possibly for maybe 4 to 5 minutes considered for Bond.
Yeah, I mean,
he's darkly handsome British guy, and they probably did go, no, let's keep looking.
Yeah. Terrence Morgan is this guy's name.
Terrence Morgan.
And I love that his IMDb photo is an autographed shot of him. To best wishes to Peter, Terrence Morgan. That's what's been uploaded as his IMDb. Oh, I mean, he's a guy who was in a bunch of stuff. He was in the Gregory Peck Horatio Hornblower movie.
Yeah.
He was in. He plays Laertes in Laurence Olivier's Hamlet. You know, he did a lot of stuff. His career. Oh, he stops working as frequently, but he did an episode of The Persuaders.
The Persuaders, it's not great, but it's great for its cast, obviously.
Yes, and I do own every episode on DVD. So
he strikes me as another one of those guys who mainly was a stage actor who dipped into film.
Right.
And he doesn't blow me away in this. He's
no, I think he's okay to sometimes bad.
Yeah, yes. I will agree with your summary there.
Because I couldn't make heads or tails of his performance sometimes. So anyway, then John is looking around for where Annette is, and he finds her drinking champagne with this handsome stranger.
Yeah, it's great. John was just attacked in the cabin, and he comes out on ship deck again, and he's like, "Oh, hope I'm not intruding."
One of my favorite
because
things,
Annette's sitting there with like a glass of champagne, is like,
one of my favorite things in this movie is how little a problem John has of leaving Annette alone with Adam. He's constantly just like, whatever, you two enjoy your evening.
I did like watching that because the actor does a decent job of, there's a little bit in the eyes of like, fuck, I can't really say anything because I'm British, but I'm just gonna pretend like this is fine. Well, you two just hang out, and but you can see him going, I'm losing Annette to this guy, this handsome dude.
Yeah, who is pretty boring though. I mean, but they're both boring. She has two boring options.
I agree. I hope that you're not too bored by him, because you're going to get an entire poetry recital from him that goes on for, again, conservatively, 40 to 45 minutes.
The most hackneyed and obvious choice of poetry.
How do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
I mean,
1,
if
2.
If I were to read that poem to a woman, I would 100% expect for her to just stand up and walk out, because my God, there's nothing. I mean, look,
granted, John, this was 1900, so
this
maybe
is the new shit.
This prime time to be reading. How do I love thee? Let me count.
I mean, at this point, he can probably be like, I wrote it. There's no way to check.
I have no way of verifying that.
That's interesting. It's in a published book. Yes, that's how good it was. Great poems of the past, though. Well, I did write it a while ago.
This was a high school work.
I wrote this when I was 15. I was very advanced for my age. So yeah, he's talking to her, and he says something about, he knows, he's like, do you think this has to do with your discovery? And John's immediately like, how do you know about our discovery? And the guy's like, well, I'm, what does he say?
Well, basically, he just says that he follows it as an amateur.
Yes, that's right.
It's like, everyone's heard about your great discovery, but also I have an interest in Egyptology. I mean, strictly in an amateur basis. Yeah. And later on, he'll prove to know a lot more than an amateur would know.
Right. And so John has a theory that maybe someone is trying to force us to return to Egypt. And then they're immediately like, but let's not do anything about it right now.
Yeah.
Because Adam says, you know what? Hey, when you get back to England, why don't you stay at my place? That's going to be nicer than wherever you've been put up. And John's like, ooh, I don't know about that.
That is such a crafty woman stealing ploy. Like, hey, I've got a really swank place. Why don't both of you stay there? Of course, you'll be gone every now and then, John, and she'll be all alone. But yeah, he offers to give them boarding at his place, and they go, you know what? That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah. Hard cut to, they're already in his place. We've just arrived, and we're there. And he says, everybody, let's have a hot toddy.
Yeah. I've just invented this drink. This movie's just full of things that these characters like. By the way, this is a new trend in 1900.
He brings in a big bucket of beverage.
Yeah, it's like a tureen, a big thing of hot toddy, and he's just got a ladle. Like, let me get you some of this.
I've never seen hot toddy served in this manner, but he brings in a punt for 3 people. He's
like, that sounds great. Yes,
and we have to finish this whole thing tonight.
This stuff doesn't keep.
It'd be a waste. Because immediately I'm thinking, he's just getting
hot toddy night.
Yeah.
And if it goes the way I want it to, it will be bottomless night, just period. Bottomless, no bottoms.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if you're getting what I'm laying down, but no
John,
bottoms.
you may not be comfortable with that. And that's cool. You can just leave. We'll
just be here without any bottoms.
No bottoms. But I assure you, I am a gentleman, so my top will stay on.
Long after the toddies have cooled.
And so then he's he's like, here's your drink, John. Annette, will you look at my collection of treasures? He's like, look at it. He has all these fancy jewels in a case, and he says, in fact, why don't you take this one?
This is another one where it's just like, again, Carreras is really enchanted with, I'm going to keep name dropping things from the period.
Yeah.
So she's looking at these jewels and jeweled things as his treasures, and she's like, this is amazing. And he goes, yes, the artist Fabergé.
Yeah.
He does quite good work. And you're like,
I found it really strange when he turned and winked at the camera after saying that.
Yeah.
Too. That was
and he's
odd.
Like, I want you to have this. She goes, oh no. And he goes, this belonged once to the Tsarina of Russia. And it's like, wow, I shouldn't have this.
And he says something about like, such a beautiful jewel should have a beautiful owner. Yes.
But I mean, I know you're totally with John and everything. I just wanted to.
That relationship seems pretty solid.
Just want to get in there.
Yeah.
So he gives her this jewel, and she
runs over to John and goes, "Look at what Adam gave me." He's like, "Yes, that's great."
Yeah, I know. John's like, "Oh, that's great." You know, I gave you that stick of gum earlier. Don't forget that. I totally.
And so he's like, he's like, so what time should we be having dinner? At 9 or so? And they're like, that sounds fine. But then John's like, ooh, actually, I have to go to uncrate everything that we just brought over from, Egypt. It's kind of a big deal.
And they're like, oh, you have to leave?
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. And he's like, well, I guess Annette could stay.
Well, no, Annette says, maybe I should go with you. And John's like, yes, I think that's a good idea. But Annette goes, Adam, why don't you come? You'll like it. There's all kinds of fun stuff that we're going to... Well, I don't mind if I do. And so now Adam has to go with them. And I just wanted to cut to an eye roll from John, like, ugh, this guy.
Invited himself along.
Yeah.
Third wheel.
So then we cut to ugly American Alexander King going, move that over there, do that over there, go that, that's got to go here. Why isn't the spotlight on already?
This is a dumb bit, and I felt bad for the actor. They act as if they had already established that he had a catchphrase. And I can't even remember what it is in the movie. It's like, as soon as possible, or something like that. And he keeps saying it over and over again.
Oh.
And then someone else goes, King wants this done. He goes, let me guess. Did he say as soon as possible? As if the audience is going, oh, that King. He always says it. But yeah, it's this whole thing of him wandering through all the workers.
Then why isn't it already done? Isn't that what it's something like that?
Well, it's something like that, but it's just nonsense, as if they had established it and they had not.
Yeah.
It's just for the sake of this dumb scene.
Well, then why do I have this T-shirt with his face and that phrase on? No.
This was going to be his "Eat My Shorts."
They made so much merchandise. There were dolls with a pull string where he'd say it. They really thought people were going to embrace this character and this catchphrase.
This was his "I hate Mondays." But
I still have my Alexander King Day calendar. You didn't read the Alexander King comic strip that came out of?
Well, I mean, after the first one where he invented motorboating, I didn't decide I needed to read any more.
I was looking through the IMDb quotes to see if I could find what it is. It's not there, but there is a line that Alexander King says about Sir Giles. He's living in the past. This is 1900. You gotta think modern, baby.
Yes.
Which is in one line encapsulates his whole character in this movie. This guy's not living modern. This guy's living in the future.
He's living in the way future.
Because he's telling him, I need a gel on that light over there. Come on, pick it up.
Well, one thing that did, I just kept wondering why it was so conspicuous. We get to it later. When we see the actual show, the exhibition that King hosts and shows off the stuff from the tomb, the theater looks like a period theater, but it has lit exit signs, which are clearly bulb, electrical lit.
I met this guy Edison.
They do the old slide projector, the original projection light box thing. That is period.
Yeah, they
do that. But then every time they show that theater, these bright exit signs, I'm like going, oh my god, 1964 exit signs in this 1900 theater.
I had my pal Nikola Tesla gear up a couple of these things. We flew him over. Yeah, planes are a thing too.
Alternating current all the way, baby.
I got a little piece of alternating current. That's gonna make me a pretty penny.
I'm investing in Wardenclyffe. I think it's gonna really work. Oh my god, poor Tesla. Anyway.
Yeah. So he's barking orders, and then we're introduced to. It wouldn't be a Hammer movie without a couple of wacky side characters. Oh, boy.
I will say they're used sparingly. They don't
are used
kill
sparingly. When they showed up, I went, "Oh God, here we go."
I did. I was also worried, but luckily they are not.
They're two lazy workers who have been sleeping in a crate.
No, that drove me crazy because in that scene, King walks outside the big box, the crate, and there's the sound of snoring.
Yeah.
He opens it. They're not asleep. They're playing cards. And so I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
Did they realize when they saw the dailies, like, why would he open that crate? He must hear something. But what could he hears snoring. But they're clearly playing cards.
Why, this is the worst case of sleep gambling I've ever seen.
Sleep gambling. I'll see you and raise you.
Paradises.
Full house.
He wakes him up and they're like, what are we doing?
Oh my god, how much money have I lost?
The wife's gonna kill me.
So these are two Cockney-ish dudes.
All right, then, we're gonna be picking things up then.
Yep. and he yells at them to get to work.
Yeah. And they kind of like go over and half-heartedly pick up some stuff. And they're like, and then they, oh, this isn't it. I think later they're given a tip and they have a whole bit about that.
Yep.
Oh, no. This is where one puts on the jackal head statue and he goes, looks like me wife.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, I was dreading their existence, but we don't get a lot of them, and they're
peppered in here and there.
The jackal, jackal mask is. We saw that in The Mummy. That was literally a leftover
looked like
prop.
shit in that movie too.
Yep.
Because he picks it up, he clearly weighs nothing. And just goes atop his head, and he's like,
and it's really huge, very tall, which they even commented on in the book when they were talking about The Mummy. They're like going, yeah, the costume designer did best, but the measurements were wrong, and so you get this comically, ridiculously tall Anubis head.
So then we go over to Annette and Adam, who are looking at some hieroglyphics. Big like
they're only looking at the porn ones. I thought that was really again. They were just like, "Oh, look at what they're doing."
Adam
they're
goes, "This is some pretty hot stuff."
This is this film's attempt to come up with a creative way to give us backstory.
These Mummy movies can't resist an extended origin story sequence.
I do think it's necessary if you're dealing with ancient Egypt to somehow get across who's been mummified, why, and where the curse came from.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, do any of them do it well? Ever?
1999's does, but we're a ways out from there.
Also, I'd say the original does too. There's maybe it's too much of the movie and it looks like a silent movie.
Here's the thing I like about 1999's. It's just the prologue of the movie. We just open on it.
True.
And we're in it and we're in the action and it's happening to us. It's not somebody going, let us stop the movie.
I don't want you. You need to stop living in 1999, my friend.
I will never. That was the best movie.
We are in 1964 right now.
Yes, I know.
We are not dealing with CG storms and big faces made out of sand.
I have a feeling by the end of this podcast, I'm still going to declare it the best Mummy movie. So,
and I might agree with you, except for I got to give it to Karloff.
Well, I love Karloff in that movie, and I love aspects of that movie, but it struggles in some places.
It's true, and it is just a rehash of Dracula.
It is.
All right.
Karloff is amazing in it. No question about that. So we get the story of Ra and his brother B.
Yeah. This is not the god Ra. This is a Pharaoh's son.
That threw
These
me
are the
for
sons
half
of the
a second. You know, because I'm like, what are we in Stargate now?
I think the character's name, the full name is like Ra Atef.
It's here on the IMDb, yeah.
But they will continue just to call him Ra and his brother B.
Yeah. And basically the story is that Ra was practicing some magic, right? And he was the favored son of Ramses, who was the pharaoh.
Yeah.
Pretty famous. Most people know Ramses.
And they break it down into the two sons were beloved of the pharaoh, but they were very different. Ra was the intellectual, the aesthete.
Yeah.
And, probably that why he's named Ra is because he probably worshipped the gods. But B was an hedonist, a hedonist.
Yeah.
He lived for earthly physical pleasures.
And a noted dum-dum, really. I mean, that's really just a big old sack of nothing.
Would constantly claim ownership of poems that had clearly been written years before he was born.
We know you didn't put that together. Yeah, they get me again. Hey, everyone, gather around and hear my new poem. Because he still had that accent then.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Would that I should ever see a poem as lovely as it. Shut up! You didn't write that.
Yes, no, I totally did.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
That's
Shut
not
the
you.
Fuck up.
Someday someone will appreciate this.
These audiences are harsh.
I'll tell you right now, ancient Egyptian audiences, that's a tough crowd.
I'm going to hang in there for a few more centuries, then they'll know.
Well, someday I'll meet a pretty lady who's maybe French or Burmese, and she'll know what I'm talking about. You really called it. So yeah, and then Ra gathers some followers. I mean, what was it? He gets accused of magic, and he gets thrown out. Isn't that the thing?
Sure.
He gets thrown out for practicing magic, and then but a bunch of people follow him, so he's out in the desert, leading a cult.
Yeah, he does get ousted somehow.
It breaks Ramses' heart to do it because he's the good son.
Right, and he ends up somewhere in the desert, the Sahara, and then locals there think he's pretty awesome, so they rescue him, and he has a following there. And it's because I think, right, he was also investigating the secrets of life.
Yeah, he has a medallion that has the secrets of life written on it that have the basically.
But that was actually given to him by the new followers in the Sahara. They also knew that shit. So they're like, "Hey, we're gonna."
This guy showed up, and they're like, "He's talking our language. We love raising the dead."
Yes, so they give him this knowledge, but B, out of jealousy, or he doesn't want Ra to come back and gain power. I don't know what happened. He sends assassins.
He sends assassins who kill everybody in town and then Ra.
Okay, and here's the thing that I don't want to gloss over. I need to keep hitting this nail on the head until it is flush with the wood, and then maybe even keep pounding the nail till it goes through the wood. Oh my God. This flashback to Ra out in the Sahara, where he's being met by, African or Egyptian people. There are some actual black men in this group. That's good, because that would be accurate.
Yeah.
Then again, everyone else are clearly they didn't even try this time with can we find someone of some ethnicity that we could paint them to look. These are the whitest. These are all people that go, "Hey, what are you having for lunch? What did you bring? A sausage? Did you bring yourself as a Scotch egg?"
I'm playing Egyptian number 3.
These are the whitest people, and Ra himself is clearly a white man with light brown hair. He's got light brown hair.
Yes,
but they don't even try
the part of Ra, and I've done a lot of investigation into it. Well, I mean, let's just start with the fact that the guy who plays Ra is named Dickie Owen.
I don't now.
Now he's credited as being both the Mummy and Ra.
That surprises me because the guy playing Ra is.
Now, there may be somebody uncredited who plays Ra, but it says he's Mummy, Ra, and Tef.
All right. Possibly that's true, but I got to say, the beer gut that I see on the Mummy doesn't appear to be on this guy, who's at least very fit and handsome.
Because it wasn't on him. He wore the beer gut as a character choice.
Bodies after centuries, they bloat.
Yeah, I really got into the character. Or they stopped. We filmed the flashback sequences. Then we paused so I could gain the weight. It's like a raging bull.
They gave me 3 months, and I just did not stop with the milkshakes. I essentially drank milkshakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you will get a gut. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I put on so much weight.
Turns out I didn't even need 3 months. I'd gained it all in 2 weeks.
I'm telling you, when you eat that much lasagna and follow it up with milkshakes, you're going to get a gut. Quite the gut. Yes.
Dickie Owen's guide to weight gain.
I was becoming Matt Berry for a second, and I was enjoying it. I was like, you know what? I want to keep. I want to keep doing Matt Berry.
Yeah.
but I stopped.
I wish
Okay,
he'd be in one of these movies. Ugh, we could use him.
Oh, it would be the best thing in the world. So again, the flashback is cheesy as fuck, but they do come in, the assassins, and they take everybody out, including Ra.
Yep.
Gets the knife in the back.
He does.
And he goes down like a chump.
And then they cut back to present day, and Adam goes, so the assassins didn't take the medallion then with the secrets. He's like, and then that's like, I guess not. And then he goes, and you people never found it in the tomb? She's like, we didn't. He's like, well, then where is it?
Yeah, if the audience hadn't been keyed into, there's something about this Adam guy.
Yeah.
He's pretty obsessed with like, well, where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
And she's just like, I would have no way of knowing. I would have no way. I don't know. We didn't see it. And so, yeah, then we get, oh my God, we get Alexander King going, hey, you all got to come in here. I'm going to open up the mummy's tomb. This is going to be big, everybody. This is going to be big. And this is where he has them run through basically a dress rehearsal of how he's going to do it at the show. And he's got sound effects and music and drums. And he's like, ooh, the secrets of the tomb.
The presentation looks great.
Yeah.
Like if that was a 10-cent show, I would have been in there.
I have spared no expense.
He's very Stan Lee-ish in this, by the way. Simply by the way, he
my voice is becoming more and more Stan Lee for him.
He doesn't sound like that in the movie, but the presentation is very like Stan Lee. He does talk about all the other archaeologists. He goes, but then of course the most important man, the man for this who framed the whole thing, he goes, myself, and the picture of him comes up in the audience, goes,
so anyway, he opens the, well, this isn't he's not in front of the audience yet. This is when he's just doing it for them. This is where we first see them, because when he does it for the audience, the mummy's not there. This is we actually, so we open up the sarcophagus and there's a mummy in it, and I wrote down 31 minutes till we actually see a mummy. Now that's just seeing him in the sarcophagus.
Not moving, not him doing anything, but just seeing.
It takes 31 minutes to get to that, and I am
John,
not impressed.
First glimpse, 31 minutes in.
Yeah.
Are you impressed by this mummy, or did you automatically go, we're in trouble?
Oh yeah, this was when every worry I had about the movie was confirmed. I'm like, okay, so we're not even trying, are we?
It looks dumb even before he moves.
Yep. Yeah. We get our mummy, and he's a sad sight to behold. And everybody's like, oh, wow, yeah, look at the mummy. And then it just cuts away. It cuts back to Annette at Adam's place as she's telling her story about how her father always wished she was a son, and that made her work twice as hard to learn all the stuff he did, and eventually she became his partner in his archaeology or whatever.
Yes. Essentially, she's done all the work of an archaeologist, learned everything she needed to do just to prove herself to her father. Yeah. And that's a sad message for our female watchers.
It is. An even sadder and more confusing message is about to come up, though. I rewound and watched this scene twice. The dialogue between her and Adam is really weird, and I was trying to understand what it was trying to say, which is her going, he's saying women should be in the home, women of your intelligence, they should be out there. So she goes, oh, so we should just be at home knitting? He goes, no, what I'm saying is there's lots of opportunities for that intellect to be in the home. And she's just like, you get it, you really get it. John wants me to continue pursuing my career. Yeah, no, I couldn't figure out what the fuck they're talking about. I had to rewind it, and I still don't fully get it.
No, all your brilliant knowledge of Egyptology and archaeology would be best served in the kitchen. Do you not understand that all the ingredients that go into mummifying a human body could also make a delicious casserole?
Well, and I thought she's going to be like, oh my God, this sex is bad. Instead, she's like, you get it. John, this, wants me to marry him.
You see me.
Because John wants me to marry him and then keep pursuing my career. Can you imagine? And I was just like, oh God, this scene.
I don't know. For 1964, this blew the doors off the entire thing. This is where woke culture started with this film right here.
Women should be in the home, but that doesn't mean they have to be dummies.
That is the weirdly cushioned message of this
It
film.
is. Women learn as much as you can, but just stay at home.
Keep it in the house, okay?
Keep that knowledge to yourself. Don't you be taking that out on the streets.
When your brain gets that big, it's not even going to fit out the door. So just stay in and,
No, I literally did have to go back. I actually was like, I need to go back because I need to hear what I think I understood about this. And yeah, it was just as weird as I thought it was. So yeah, and this is when she said, so are you still going to marry him? She's like, well, I don't know anymore. Ooh,
yeah, she's like, I'm not entirely sold.
Ooh, I see some cracks in this relationship. Yeah. And then at this exact moment, John enters. He's like, I don't know what's happening. Sorry if I'm interrupting something.
Yeah, his cuckold sense went off. He's sort of like going, somebody sniffing around my girl.
Yeah. I have to go. And he dove out a window and he exited like George Reeves Superman style.
Yeah, before that, actually, they did do a zoom in on his arm, and you see the arm hairs stand up, and he's like, huh?
Cuckold senses tingling. Away.
As you stated earlier, this is the character. I will say the character, at least, is an intelligent young woman.
Yeah.
Vibrant young woman stuck with two very boring options.
Absolutely. And then at this point, she just casually pulls the medallion with the Secrets of Life out of her purse and is looking at it. And I do like immediately, Adam is just like, he goes, his eyes go wide, and he's just like, where did you get that?
Where did you get that? Did it come from the tomb?
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Stupid. My dad gave it to me. Well, but like around the tomb? Yeah, in fact, just after he came out of the tomb, but I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Yeah, and then there's the whole thing of John saying, well, it's from a different period. It's not from the period. And then Adam going, sorry. I think if you check, you'd see that it's definitely...
It's the reverse of that. It's Adam going, well, I believe this is from an earlier period.
Period.
How could you possibly know that from eyeballing it? Give that to me.
For an amateur.
Yeah. And he's like, give that to me. I'll confirm this. In fact, I know just the man who can help me confirm it because he's got all the right books. Now, you two stay here for the night. I'm going to go look this up in some books.
Yeah, this was just like, okay, so this is urgent matter. You have to get it solved tonight. So best leave your girlfriend with the handsome dude.
I'll figure this out tonight. In fact, I'll have an answer for you in a few hours. This needs to be settled.
Yeah, and Adam's like, yeah, whatevs.
Yeah. That's great.
Cool.
You go read your book, nerd.
I'll be here with the hottie.
Yeah. So he's going to Sir Giles's place. Cut to a very drunk Sir Giles going, that Alexander King. He threw me under the bus.
And he is talking to nobody.
Yeah. Because John has got his nose buried in a book.
Yeah. He's just rambling. I love it.
He put all the blame on me, and they threw me out of Egypt forever. This character takes a hard turn after the first act of this movie.
It is kind of fun to see Sir Giles he's hit rock bottom.
And John is just going, could you tell me what page again that information is on? He's like, Alexander King! He takes it around like it's a showpiece.
He's like, oh, I don't know, somewhere in the 300s.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to King.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Yeah.
That fucker. He's probably going to end up in the Beverly Hillbillies or something. He has the look of a Beverly Hillbilly.
I'm sure Sangster can get him some work over there while he's pitching stories.
I do think that
Jethro becomes a werewolf.
I do think that this was the missing link, that Fred Clark was probably Sangster's in. It's like, well, okay, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I guess I could get you in to talk to the producers.
Fred, I've got a couple of real crackers for Beverly Hillbillies.
This one has Ellie Mae, topless, but it's discreet. And she walks in.
It's tasteful.
It's tasteful, and there's a lot of mist and fog, which I think they get a lot in California. I haven't been, but this is what I'm seeing.
It's at that point that Jed discovers the swamp creature rising from the bog in the back of their home.
Yeah, or what do they call it? The cement pond, right? It is a swimming pool, which you wouldn't expect a swamp creature, but he does. He rises.
The only way to distract him is for Ellie Mae to take off her top.
And who else is in it? Well, we have Granny. No.
You know what? We make a point early on. Granny's on vacation this week.
Maybe Mrs. Hathaway. Again, if we use a filter. So
rub some Vaseline on the lens. It'll be okay.
Oh, God. Long before I knew what various shades of sexuality there are that exist, when I was a child watching Beverly Hillbillies, I can only say I was never convinced at Mrs. Hathaway's lust for Jethro. All I can say is no, I don't think that is right.
This feels wrong.
This feels wrong. I have a feeling Mrs. Hathaway would be more interested in Ellie Mae. Just say it. Just
a suggestion, yeah.
That's a suggestion. That's
Have you considered having Miss Hathaway maybe kiss Ellie Mae? Maybe some sort of mind control situation could explain.
I keep telling them at Hammer this is a direction they need to go in.
Yeah.
Ladies liking ladies, but in a horror way.
Yeah. It's horrifying.
Sexy horror. Anywho.
Yeah. So Giles John's looking through the books. Meanwhile, a man all in black sneaks into Giles's place. Sneaks up behind John, knocks him out. Second time John has been clubbed from behind in this movie.
It's true, but you did miss. What I liked about this scene is you got the mysterious figure. Who we could never guess who this cloaked mysterious figure is.
I had no guesses at all.
No guesses. I don't know why.
No evidence of anything. Could be anybody.
Hey, filmmakers, I don't know why we're being coy. All right, we know exactly who. But anyway, so mysterious cloaked figure comes in, but stumbles, but knocks into this vase or something, and almost gives himself away. And that I did enjoy, just because I wasn't expecting it to be a clumsy almost killer.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, shit. Oh, hang on.
I almost would have thought it was a one-take thing, and it was well, we just have to use it. But no, I think it was probably scripted that has to happen. They thought it would add a suspense beat.
He bangs his knees oh,
damn it.
Shit. All right, hang on. Get it together. Oh, that's smart.
Oh, God.
Who would put a table here?
Who would put a table here?
It just turns into this really weird slapstick routine for a good 5 minutes.
Again, with the vase being knocked, all I can think of is there are at least 2 classic Jerry Lewis films that involve some really amazingly physically timed out of him barely catching a vase before it hits the ground after knocking it off a pedestal. And it's a great bit, but I was going, I would kill for Jerry Lewis to be in this movie. I would kill.
Trying to murder
1964 Jerry Lewis in this movie is all I want, because he's so jacked up on uppers at this point. His Percocet.
That's a nice mummy there. Jerry, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see a mummy in here.
Ryan to Ivan.
How come Martin and Lewis never met the mummy? That's all I'm saying.
Well, they did Scared Stiff. That is their one.
That is their one, but I just would have well, here we are, just a couple of archaeologists on a dig in Egypt.
they brushed up against being a Martin Lewis type team. I'm Martin Lewis. What I'm saying, Abbott and Costello type team, but it was just that one, and they're like, yeah, the supernatural thing's not our bag. Shame though, because again, Jerry Lewis scared it's different than Bud Abbott being scared, but it's equally delightful to me.
Hey,
I am a bigger Martin Lewis fan than Abbott and Costello, and that's
Count Dracula. How about you take a hike?
Say, I like your style. I like a good tuxedo. The lines very clean on you. It's good.
Frankenstein, you got a real pretty looking wife there.
Ladies and gentlemen, the gold diggers. Man, we cut to several years later, and he's doing his variety show. Oh my God. Anyway, that is not the case. No. But yes, second time in the movie, John, the boring lead, gets clubbed, and I keep wondering about brain damage. But he's
this time they do. This mysterious figure takes the medallion. We then cut to its opening night of Alexander King's big Egyptian show.
Before we get to that, John, can I just ask you a question?
Yes. This sounds like an ad read.
John,
can I ask
how
you a
do you feel? Do you like your mattress? You know, Casper mattress comes to your house in a box. Barely, it's about the size of a portable.
They're not
fridge.
paying us.
Oh Jesus! Blue Apron.
Yeah.
You get the best meal. Okay. We're not there
ads,
yet,
Brendan.
We're not doing ad reads yet.
No.
But anywho, my question is, John is a threat.
Yes.
To Adam or B.
Yeah.
He is also a rival for Annette as a standing, between them. Why hasn't he just been killed? Like, there was the first attempt and that was interrupted.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he kill him here? What's with all the knocking people on the back of the head thing?
Well, here's the weird thing that I found. The mummy, when that comes into it, never once comes after John. And you'd think he'd be early on the victims list.
Yes.
No, I have no idea. John, for some reason, they're like, nah, don't bother. He's not going to pose too much of a threat.
The only thing I can think is maybe there are still, like, maybe he's sitting there going, there's still things that I need out of the find or the tomb, and John is still the only guy who knows all the stuff that was found.
Look, I won't call this mission over until I do his fiancée in front of him. He needs to see it.
I'm going to try that thing that King taught me with the boat that has a motor on it.
That's it. That I haven't been able to get that idea out of my head since he brought it up.
That is fascinating, and I've been alive for centuries. Never thought of it. Well, also boats with motors.
Yeah. I think that could be big. So yeah, now we're at the opening of King's Egyptian exhibit here, and Hashmi has showed up, and he's once again going, all right, we have more money. Please, for the love of God, just give this to the Cairo Museum.
Yeah.
And King's like, sorry about that, pal, but we've already booked all of our tour in America.
And King is again very dismissive and racist, and it's another thing about, would you shut up with your superstitions and your dumb stuff? Go away, Egyptian man.
Well, because he keeps saying there's gonna be consequences, and he's like, yeah.
Save it for the crowd. They'll eat up that nonsense.
Yeah. In the middle of the show, why don't you stand up and start yelling about consequences? People will love that. Little Egyptian fella. This is going to be adorable. He's the worst in this movie, and it's great.
Yep.
So it's the opening of the show, and Annette has brought Adam with her because, as they say, well, John's still not fully conscious after that that second blow to the head. So he's going to rest up at Sir Giles's place because the doctor won't let him move. So anyway, that's why I've brought Adam with me because I like him better anyway. And so, King puts on his show. This is where he does the slideshow. And he does... This is the only other mention of the death of her father. He goes, yes, Professor Dubois, who was unfortunately murdered by locals almost immediately after the discovery of this. Anyway, clicking on, also with us was John...
And when he, this is a sign of the times, both 1900 and 1964, is that he says, Also with us was Professor Dubois' daughter, Annette, who was one of our main archaeologists, a brilliant lady, in addition to being just, he basically says she was just decoration.
Well, what he says is, and she was also a cool breeze in the hot winds of the desert.
Yeah, it's like, oh, great. We get to talk about her looks because that's what you do.
And honestly, I never took my eyes off of her.
and this is Annette is in the audience, as is John. They're watching all this. And Annette's just grinning all the way through it. I'm like going, he just brought up your dead father. And then he kind of denigrates you to being ornamental, like the producer of the film said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, boy.
Well, at least it's not as bad as what they said about me in real life when they hired me for this movie. So
yeah, it's a step up.
No, she in fact even does like a bashful smile, like you.
Oh, I guess that's all I'm good for.
They were never not harassing me. I
am never not harassed.
Yeah. So he goes, oh yeah, and you better believe there's something about a curse. And hey, just as a reminder, when I open this thing up, you all are cursed now.
Yeah. Anyone who's present in the opening of the coffin of the prince will be cursed. I guess that means you guys are all gonna die. Boop.
Yeah, and so then he opens up the sarcophagus. They make a big deal.
What happens in?
Well, then we cut to everyone in the audience being like, oh, everyone gasps. We don't see what's in. And he's like, he's standing there, and then he takes a look. He's like, wait, it's empty. Somebody took the mummy.
Where'd the mummy go?
I don't know, but we cut to an inspector immediately after the show.
I should tell you that I stopped watching the movie at this part.
So where did that mummy go?
Yeah, so I'm absolutely honestly, I have no idea what happens next. I was convinced there'd never be a mummy in this movie, so I stopped.
I was still at this point thinking, maybe there is no mummy, because we're pretty late in the picture, and we haven't seen this guy. So maybe it really is just somebody trying to fool people into it, which is actually not a bad idea for a movie.
It would be an interesting take.
Yeah, somebody is making it seem like the curse of the mummy is killing all these people.
Well, Mark of the Vampires, very much like that. The Bela Lugosi film where it turns out that he has been paid, along with this other woman, are actors, and they're being paid to pretend like they're vampires, and there's a series of vampire-like killings.
Why would anyone consider me for the part of a vampire?
At that point, he was like going, how much do I get? And can I get it? Can I walk out of here today with it? I have bills to pay. And
pay me the whole thing in advance. That would be great.
Let's just say I am jonesing. Yeah. I am jonesing pretty hard.
My morphine dealer is getting pretty pissed. So
Bella needs a new pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And by this I mean
way more morphine. Like a ton of morphine. So
I would wear morphine for shoes if it was possible. I am that insane.
No, I fully lost it.
Junkie Bela jokes. Terrible.
Junkie Bela jokes, drunken Cheney jokes. Karloff, he was a saint.
Comparatively, the man was a saint.
So we enter the movie, this inspector who's like, well, do you have any enemies, Alexander King? He's like, I'm in show business. I have all the enemies.
Yeah, he points at somebody and goes, that guy over there works for me. He's probably an enemy. They're all enemies. All my friends, they're enemies too.
That guy is all right. No, wait. No, not that guy. He hates me too. Never mind. Nope. No friends, just enemies. He's questioning about what would happen. Why would I like somebody goes, why would anyone want to steal a mummy? And he's like, probably sabotage. Ruin my show.
Yeah.
This is all about me.
Apparently it is all about Alexander King.
Yeah. So then John arrives and he goes, I know why someone stole the mummy. Because they want to use the medallion that was just stolen from me to bring it back to life. And
it's a big jump.
And King's like, all right, that's you're still pretty crazy from that bump on the head. It's just, why don't we send you back to Sir Giles so you can cool down. And then we get our wacky workers again going, do you believe what they're saying about the mummy? And the other guy's like, I don't know, but I won't be here to find out. And he runs out of the place. Hilarious.
Comedy gold.
Yeah. Then somebody gives him a tip to bring a carriage around, and then they get in an argument about who gets the tip.
Well, the whole thing is like, get a cab for John, and it's like, well, there's one already out here waiting for him. So King goes out there to see them off, whatever. And then he's like, oh, well, yeah, here. So he tips these guys, and they're like, oh, thank you, sir. And then there's a little bit of business where they're like going, hey, I get half of that. And he goes, well, how about this? I'll front you half of it for the next round of poker or whatever. He goes, great.
Yeah.
It's like, is this supposed to be funny?
And I busted a gut laughing. Again,
it's pretty gross that you didn't even bother to do any stitching up. I can actually see on the camera your intestines, all kinds of stuff just hanging out.
I know it's going to happen again and again, so I figure why, just lean into it.
I'm just going to leave the gut busted.
Yeah.
Leave it.
Whatever.
There you go.
That's my look now.
Blaming it on Curse of the Mummies.
Right? Look, if you had heard this bit with these guys in Curse of the Mummies Tomb, you'd have a busted gut too.
In fact, that's a warning. They should have put a warning in front of that movie because this will happen.
So we have King walking home when he's approached by a lady of the night, if you will.
A vampire?
Yes. This woman comes and says, is there anything I can do for you, sir?
This is saucy. Again, this is adult material for 1964.
And I'm surprised that this Alexander King says, no, but here, have some money because you seem like a nice lady.
This is weird. I mean, not that he's been a jerk. He's been the ugly American character, but he hasn't been evil. So, and plus, we like this guy simply because the actor who's playing him. Yeah, he's kind of delightfully dickish. But here is a last-minute bit of character redemption.
Yeah, I know.
It's like this prostitute is his last chance for the audience to sympathize with him.
Aww.
And he's nice to her and says, here, go get yourself someplace warm to sleep. And she's like, well, thank you, sir. Bless you.
And I was like, what the hell? I should have known that this is like he's going to be dead. Because he turns a corner and there, 53 minutes into an 80-minute film, shows up the mummy.
Yeah, it's pretty well shot. It almost disguises how terrible the makeup is.
Right until they cut to a close-up.
Yes, it's like foggy London street. And actually, all I could think was, I mean, in my brain, I'm sitting there going, this is 1900 London. And all I think is, man, we're only a few years out from Jack the Ripper, and we just had a prostitute scene. But anyway, so the mummy appears in the fog, reaches out. King is just like, doesn't have time to do much other than go, no.
Yeah, and he gets thrown down a flight of stairs.
Mummy throws him down a flight of stairs right up to the river bank, I guess.
Yeah. You just hear him fall into the river. We don't see any river. We just hear a splash, and you're like, oh, I guess he's in the river.
It's a pretty good death, and you're like, well, thank you for showing up, Mummy.
Yeah. Sorry, I had car trouble. I just got here from my movie.
I just got here from a million years BC, and boy, are my arms tired.
He was actually auditioning for another part downtown. I'm really hoping to get this commercial.
I'm up for a West End play. It's pretty great. It's called Barefoot in the Park. Should be pretty good. Hope I get it. Fingers crossed. Oh, wait, I can't cross my fingers because all my fingers are kind of bandaged together, but bandaged hands crossed.
It's Raw and Tef in Barefoot in the Park.
Why doesn't the mummy get some sort of like after revenge life where he's like going, I finished my mission, now I can just
for half
find a new life for
I
myself.
thought that's how this movie was going to end, actually, because it seems like there's a before he kills himself, it seemed like I'm just like, oh, is he just done now?
Yeah, like, you know what? Howdy.
So John shows up because he thinks he knows who's bringing this mummy back to life. He shows up at the lodging, some kind of house where Hashmi Bey is lodging with this family, and we get a bit of business with the husband and wife who run this place.
This is terrible class comedy, which Hammer that's their thing.
Yep.
The lower classes are comedy material, so this
Poor
is like
people are funny. That's as old as time.
It's like a boarding house, and so it's like, what do you want? It's like, do you have an Egyptian gentleman staying? And he's like, who's to say? Who wants to know? And he's like, well, I can pay you some money. And he's like, he's right upstairs.
And he throws him a wad of cash, and then they're like, I get to keep it. No, it's mine. I tell you what. And then they're just like, oh, hilarious stuff.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I really hope they at least considered a spinoff film of these characters.
Don't you remember? They were that couple who ran the boarding house in the Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Now in their own full-length feature film.
Things are only getting crazier now that Teff is dead.
What's this?
My God.
Dracula wants to stay with us. Oh, boy.
This one has delightful southern exposure. This room, you get plenty of sun in the morning.
Oh! I forgot. Look at who I'm talking to. No, seriously. Look at him.
You can have any of the food we make. My wife is very good. She specializes in Italian food, a lot of garlic.
Oh, I did it again.
We call this the looking glass suite because it's totally full of mirrors. Oh.
Whoa.
Here's your card. Here's your card here, Mr. Addercott. Hey.
Wait a minute. Let me get a mirror here. Alucard.
Oh, no. That sounds familiar. Oh, it doesn't matter. Your money's good.
I just like the idea that Dracula says nothing in this movie. It's just this guy tripping over himself.
Dracula's standing. Actually, in the Hammer films, Christopher Lee doesn't get to say much as Dracula, so he probably is just standing there
rolling his eyes at this guy's antics.
If I didn't need a room so bad.
Dracula's fallen on hard times. This is all he can afford.
Oh, God.
We can store your coffin downstairs. You want it in the room with you?
That'll cost you extra, Gov.
The coffin does count as another occupant. So anyway, I'm
getting giddy, and it could be lack of food.
Maybe. So John's poking around Hashmi's room. We get a fake out jump scare when he opens the cupboard, and there's just a stuffed owl in there. He's like, "Ugh!"
I genuinely jumped.
Yeah, I mean,
it got me good.
I had to change my pants after that. It was too much. And then if you thought that was scary, what's even scarier? Who's behind? Someone has come into the room, and it is Hashmi saying, "Can I help you find anything?" Uh-oh. Well, we cut away at that point to Sir Giles's house, where his maid is saying, "Please, sir, I beg you, eat a real meal. You haven't eaten anything in days. You've been drinking your meals."
This is the scene where Michael Carreras, director, is like, I have a vision.
Yeah.
And I'm using the widescreen. This is going to look amazing. I'm framing the scene. The foreground is Sir Giles's hand holding a giant brandy snifter, which is pretty much empty. And you'll be seeing the whole shot is shot through the brandy snifter when the when she comes in and complains and says, "Take care of yourself." It's an artistic shot. And I thought, why are you trying, Michael Carreras? Carreras, have you seen the rest of the movie around this?
At this point in filming, he's like, that's not a bad idea.
It's going to make people sit up and take notice and go, you know what? The rest of the movie's been shit, but look at this.
Wait, maybe I need to reevaluate the rest of the movie if it was directed by somebody who could come up with this shot.
Very artistic for no good reason. But yeah, there you go.
And it is just her going, "Please, all you do is drink. Please eat something."
How's that a king? I bet he's eating.
So
fucker.
the mummy's about to kill this guy, but it seems like this guy's days away from death anyway, based on this.
This was a mercy killing.
He was going to die of liver failure soon anyway, so it doesn't matter. Because, so she leaves, and then he hears a dog barking outside. He's like, wonder what that's about. And then my favorite thing that does happen in these movies, Hammer always delivers on a mummy crashing through glass.
Yeah, it's a big thing for them. Is like Mummy will not be denied, and also Mummy doesn't know. Mummy comes from an era where they probably didn't even have doors that they knocked on. So
what's this? Yeah. What am I stepping through?
I'm just going through this.
But it's just the speed of this is so funny. It's like bark, bark. What's that? Crash, Mummy. Like, it's instant, and you're like, oh shit. And so the mummy grabs Sir Giles, starts choking him one-armed on the desk. And I like this kill because he chokes him for a while. Then he grabs some kind of paperweight that's on the desk and just brains him a couple times with it.
Now, again, the Hammer difference is, the Hammer is starting to show some stuff. We saw that hand go right off.
And it won't be the last behanding in this movie.
No, and this is, it's both conservative, but also disturbing. Because most movies of olden times, if someone gets brained by something, it's one, boom.
Yeah.
And it's usually a silhouette or a shadow. And in this case, we don't see this giant paperweight statue we don't see it go through Sir Giles' head.
No.
But still, the guy's strangled. Now the mummy picks up that statuette, and it's not a boom. It's a boom, then up, down again, then up, and down again. I was like, just the impact of the three. You're like, he is getting the job done.
Yeah.
That's just brain pulp and little bone fragments left now.
This is what I'm looking for.
I know. So I was mildly impressed with
this. Is a mummy that confirms his kill.
Yes, there's still one that's going to top this, but that was still good. I was like, all right.
Not bad.
He took care of Sir Giles.
Yeah. Sir Giles is dead, man.
He's about as dead as they get.
Yeah. And then the maid comes in, is like, because she sees the bashed-in head of Sir Giles.
Which we don't see.
No,
but I'm imagining. I'm imagining it right now.
Sadly, we don't see it. So. Oh, we should say he also he empties a gun into the mummy before the mummy chokes him, actually, which is classic.
And I will say that when we see the mummy later, Hammer's generally good about this. We do see those impacts. Like the mummy continues to have those marks every time we see it.
Yeah, it's cooler in the Lee movie because you're really seeing the mummy get like blown apart.
You see actual squibs and cloth and stuff go out.
Yeah, I love that. Those are my favorite moments in that first Mummy movie. It's when the mummy's just
good.
Shot to pieces,
shot through, full of holes.
So I love when we cut back. So we had this tension moment before we cut to Sir Giles' murder, where Hashmi Bey has caught John sneaking through his stuff, and then when it cuts back, they're like, "Well, I'm sure glad we figured this out, and we're on the same page, stopping this mummy."
Basically, it cuts back, and John just goes, "Good talk, good talk."
Yeah,
good.
Hashmi
Bey goes, "Yeah."
And he's just like, so we both agree this mummy needs to stop. Like, absolutely, we got to do something about this mummy. And John's like, gee, I'm really sorry. I thought it was you that was bringing the mummy back. Well, it's an obvious decision since I'm Egyptian.
Like,
and
I get it.
You're a total racist. So, so now they've teamed up. They're partners in trying to stop the mummy. This is when we cut to, just the most romantic scene in film history. Adam reading a poem in its entirety.
I know. That's what surprised me is that I was like, okay, movie, we get the point, but you're not going to have him do the entire. Yep.
And the thing I love about it is
love you some Elizabeth Barrett Browning because you're about to hear the whole damn poem.
What I love about it is the camera's behind Adam and it's pushing in on a net. And then as he reads the poem, and then as he finishes, the camera comes around her past the fireplace to reveal Adam, as if we were like, who's reading her that poem?
It's as mysterious. Who was the cloaked gentleman who hit John on the head? Again, this movie keeps posing these questions, these mysteries,
full of twists and turns.
Yeah.
Not really. So yeah, and then instantly, this is what puts her over the edge. They start making out hard, and she's like, "I'm leaving John. That's it. I'm done."
This was the thing where she was like, I have had it with the boring guy. I'm gonna hook up with a slightly less boring guy who reads me poetry.
Yeah, he's a little bit more interesting.
She goes upstairs. Wait, is this that part where she writes the note to John?
Because she says, "Well, wait, because he goes, so that's it. We're gonna leave town tomorrow."
Yeah, he's like, we are totally ditching town.
And she's like, "Well, no, wait, I should talk to John." She's like, he's like, "No, he's still recovering from that blow to the head because they don't know that he's running around chasing mummies." And she goes, just write him a note. And she's like, "Yeah, you're right. That would be best."
I felt really bad for John because she does write him this like, "I hope someday you'll understand" note.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, those are terrible. We all hate those notes.
Have you been broken up via note?
I have been broken up with in person on a real blunt thing, and then got the note that explained it. So it was sort of a combo.
That's interesting.
It was like there was a guilt response of like, I need to set this down because I didn't give you a good enough. So it was more of a being sort of blindsided, and then here's something just to rub it in with a little bit more information. And you're like, oh, good, I got the combo. But
I had one in the modern parlance of I was broken up with over text.
You're kidding me.
No, I was. Text? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a special hell for those people who do that.
That was years ago. I'm over it. I'm not here like, oh my God. But it was
weirdly,
like, ooh.
It's just, you're very fortunate that our listeners can't see this, because I can see the tears in your eyes. I can see, you're over it, John. Sure. Anyway, so she does this note while in a lacy negligee. This is our gauzy nightgown scene.
We got to stay on brand.
We're not. Again, we're still being fairly discreet. 1964.
We're not there yet, but we're on the precipice. I have a feeling that some of those Dracula movies are gonna get a little sexy.
I have a feeling as well. I'm gonna put my hand down. Anyway, so yes, she writes him that note, and she's packing her bags. She's gonna be heading out.
Yeah, just like, she's conceivably been with John for quite a while. They spent the entire year in Egypt. She's just like, I'm leaving you for another guy. I hope you find happiness sometime. Yeah, cold-blooded, Annette.
It's cold as ice. She's willing to sacrifice John's love. I'm going to start singing more in the podcast. I think that's
okay. Good. We've received emails saying we need more singing.
Especially songs of the 80s.
So
I got you covered.
She's gathering this note to go give to John, and she comes out of her room and at the top of the stairs and looks down at the bottom of the stairs to see the mummy choking Adam. What?
Yeah, I know.
I couldn't believe this.
I couldn't either, and I was like, is this Adam trying to do a misdirect? Because obviously our assumption is Adam's been behind this all along.
Yeah, almost from his introduction, I've assumed he's crooked.
Has this been staged for her benefit? Who knows? But the mummy is trying to choke him out.
But then as soon as he sees her, he's like, forget this. And he starts walking towards Annette.
Yep.
And then Adam stands back up and says some stuff in Egyptian.
Yeah.
And the mummy stops. Annette collapses. And then there's this weird moment where the mummy walks towards her some more and just sort of caresses her hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know where this is going. Because I'm still waiting for the late in movie reveal that she's the reincarnation of his lost love. I'm waiting for them to play that. Yeah.
I was dreading that.
Because
and
the pieces are there, right? She felt something when she was near the mummy. Now the mummy is caressing her hand. I thought, oh boy, it's going to be a real 5 minutes left and we're going to find out this shit. Let's
give the movie credit where credit is due. They didn't go there.
No, they go somewhere else that's similar, though.
Yeah, and still weird, but
and way too late in the game to reveal.
They did not do that trope.
They didn't, which I'm shocked that they. But they do have a reveal way too late in the game.
Yeah.
So she's unconscious. The mummy's caressing her hand. Then he walks down the stairs after he gets in some caressing, and he just backhands Adam.
Yeah,
It's
a good slap.
I like that moment, and then pretty much, and then just leaves. Just strolls on out.
This is not the scene. I will have to talk about another mummy strolling out scene that literally had me just going, what the fuck?
Where
but we're
is
not
he
there.
going? So the mummy leaves and gives just enough of a beat for John, Hashmi, and the cops to roll in.
Yeah, we finally have like a gang of mummy hunters at this point.
We have the inspector from earlier and a couple of uniformed bobbies coming in going, hey, what's all this then? A parade of guys with a what's all this then attitude. And they come in.
If they all just said it in unison.
What's all this then?
And British audiences of the day would just be sitting there going, Like,
very
that's what they
accurate
expect.
portrayal of police. Very accurate.
The American audience is like going, what the fuck?
Yeah. Nah, that's what it's like. Oh, what's all this then? And then they blow a whistle because then
I spent time there in the war.
Yeah.
It is literally what they're like.
Yeah,
Brits.
exactly like that. So they let's see. So he runs over. John runs up to Annette, and she's like, "Yeah, Mummy came in and attacked Adam."
Which throws John, because John's also like, wait, I kind of thought they were in cahoots. What?
Yeah, and then even apologizes to the police. He's like, well, sorry, chaps. I guess our theory's been proven wrong. But if you give me a second, my friend and I will maybe find another way to prove it. And then the weirdest line from the inspector goes, you know what you amateur detectives have over us professional ones? You get a second chance.
Yeah.
What?
You know what? I'm going to encourage your dabblings in law and peacekeeping. You know, you just keep on doing what you do.
Yeah. Oh, yes, maybe you could become a full-time vigilante, taking the law into your own hands here on the streets of London.
If only we had a famous consulting detective we could consult.
Yeah. Well, but that kind of thing only happens in the movies, which don't exist yet.
So they, this is a harsh dig, and he hasn't even read that note yet. But basically, they go, "Oh, Adam's been hurt," and they start taking him up to his bedroom. Like they like pick him up and drag him up, and Annette just ditches John on the stairs and is like, "Oh, Adam, are you okay? Oh, Adam, dear." And John's just like, "Oh God, what a dagger to the heart."
Well,
he's just like, "Oh, whatever.
I see how it is. Anyway, hush me back to my place for more reading of books."
Yeah, he's like, "Okay, I guess that's a done deal. All right."
So they run back to John's place to look through his books, and they're trying to read about the curse. And the thing they can't get, they're like, I don't understand. It seems like the curse would only apply to those who were there when the tomb was desecrated and Adam wasn't with us. That doesn't add up.
Right.
And then immediately the curtains start to ruffle, and they're like, I wonder if there's something behind these curtains. Mommy!
It is kind of crazy go nuts. Because I thought this is like a jump scare or a misdirect or something. But no, it's like, what's over there? And it is maybe 2 or 3 minutes. The movie is, it's starting to run out of time.
I think there's about 10 minutes left in the movie when this happens.
It is just so abrupt. It is literally like, what's that? And then the hand just comes out, "Mummy!"
Mummy hand. And then they back away, and the mummy just brings down the curtains. He's like, I'm here!
Yeah. I'm here, motherfucker.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh... They're like, come forward, Mummy. That's right. This whole thing was a trap. The inspector rushes. He goes, no, boys! And they drop a big old net on this mummy, and they're like, we got him!
This whole scene is batshit. This whole scene is crazy.
Because I was like, oh, man, the mummy showed up. And then when this happened, I went, Whoa, what? They laid a trap for the mummy? They're like, here's what we'll do. We'll go to my study. We'll research some books. It'll be impossible for him to resist coming after us.
You can only assume that's it. You can only assume that part of his theory is that it'll come after anyone that was involved in the desecration of the tomb, which includes me.
Yeah.
So, all right, maybe you'd put some cops outside the house, but they have literally rigged this full-on
They know he's going to come into this room. He's not going to enter the house from elsewhere. He's just going to come right at him.
They drop the net on the mummy, and it stands there like, oh, how do I get out of this? For a few seconds.
And then Hashmi goes to his knees, and he's like, oh, great and powerful Ra, I am your humble servant, and, the shameful, unforgivable sin of desecrating your tomb, and please punish me, but not the other, something like that.
Yeah, he basically says, like, I'm doubly damned because I've even helped these people who desecrated your tomb. So the memory of my ancestors should be wiped from the earth. I should die and go to hell 1,000,000 times over. And he goes, kill me.
Yeah.
And the mummy goes, all right then.
And he tears out of that net.
Yeah, which confused him for like a solid minute of him going, now he's just like, this net ain't no fucking thing.
Oh, wait, I'm stronger than this net. Rip.
Tears it apart.
Yeah.
And then...
ooh, do I like this? He goes over...
Awesome. So awesome.
He goes over to him.
Hashmi has knelt and has actually put his face to the earth. Like he is that so subjugated. His face is pressing against the earth, the floor.
I love that the police, by the way, are just like, let's see where this is going.
And John, they're just watching. Yeah. This blows my mind. Mummy just goes over and goes, oh, okay. I will grant you that. Lifts up that leg.
Stomps his head. Kersplat.
Stomps the guy's skull.
He pulls a 2018 Michael Myers on him.
It is awesome. And, again, they don't show you.
There's a sound, though. There's a distinct sound that I enjoy.
Oh, and I should mention, because I mentioned before that I enjoyed this. We haven't brought this up at all. Mm-hmm. And it's not all the way through the movie. But at certain points, especially when he's first showing up places, they have a Darth Vader breathing sound the mummy.
They do.
Which weirdly works, especially since we don't get him speaking at all.
Well, especially since none of the mummy's look works either, so...
Yeah, I know. But just sort of having I'm like, okay, that's atmospheric. I'll take it. But anyway, he destroys Hashmi's head, and that is awesome. Then they follow up the most awesome kill in the movie with the most WTF fucking thing in the entire movie, which is the cops and everybody. Give him room, folks. They just let the mummy walk out of this place and then go, follow him, but at a distance. We want to see where he goes.
Once again, the mummy doesn't turn and go, you're next, John. You also desecrated shit, so I got to kill you. He's like, no,
that's true.
I got my kill in for the day anyway. I can come back to you later. So, and the cops are like, I don't know, man. He just stomped a dude's head apart, so let him go.
Just like with Christopher Lee, he's not doing the staggering limping thing, but still, he's not moving at top speed. But he just turns around and leaves the house. And these are cops who are armed, and they just let the killer, mummy, supernatural being walk out.
There he goes, boys.
They could try and tackle him. There are multiple people there. They could try and use something sharp to cut at the bandages. They could run to a fireplace and get some fire. What? They just let him walk out.
Is the idea supposed to be that they're just so stunned by what they've witnessed that they're like,
Possibly. I mean, the whole thing of follow him, but at a distance.
Yeah. Give him room, boys. Give him room. Let's see where he's going.
He's going.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Stop the killer.
Put a prowl car on him. Let's just see keep tabs.
It's like it's like, all right, Bundy got away from us, and we can see him. He's in sight. Let's just see where he goes and what he does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably find some more young women to kill.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
Just stop the motherfucker.
No, wait. Now let's give him a little room. Let's give him some distance. I want to see where he's going. But we know he's murdered tons. No, but then we don't know what his next move's gonna be.
Yeah, I was like stunned by that.
I could not believe this. And so then we cut back to Annette, who's at Adams, and she's now saying, well, wait, why would the mummy? I'm glad you're okay, but why would the mummy attack you? And he says, oh, let me show you something. And he takes her down to his creepy-ass basement, which
he goes, are you ready for some more exposition?
Yeah.
Because I got some.
Oh, I got plenty of exposition in this basement. We're all stocked up down here. And he takes her down to his basement, which is just basically looks like a museum exhibit of Egyptian treasures. More props from that first Mummy movie. And we're panning all over the place, just like the beginning of the movie, looking, oh, look at this. Look at that. I almost felt like a Price is Right. I'm going like, that vase at $7.50.
Yeah, it's pointless. Again, return to set dressing as if it's going to be something awesome to us. And again, it is the stuff that we saw at the very beginning of the movie.
Right. And then she goes, wow, look at this. It looks like a pharaoh's crown. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that one has always been with me. And I'm like, this is when I went, oh, come on. No, really? And, yeah, well, I mean, he's the brother. He's B from the story.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
I had kind of zoned out by this point. Really?
Yeah. Because once his brother had been killed, his father, the pharaoh on his deathbed, cursed B to eternal life.
Yeah,
and
his
life can only be ended if he's killed by his brother, which he thought obviously was never possible until he's now risen him from the dead.
So this is interesting. We have an evil person who's immortal, not trying to prolong his life. His entire evil plan has been about, oh my God, my brother has to release me from this curse of immortality. Mm-hmm. So he actually wants this all to happen, kind of.
But first, he should get some revenge on people who desecrated his tomb as well, because why not?
Right. And he also wants his brother to kill Annette as well, so they can be together in the afterlife, because he does like her. He likes her plenty.
I was not lying about that. Everything else about me, total lie, but not the way I feel about you.
I didn't write that poem. What? No, I did not.
That was literally the only thing that was attractive about you, so I guess we're done?
Oh, shit. Did I say I didn't write that poem? Because I said I didn't ride that poem. I've never ridden on it. But I totally wrote it.
Not once, I swear to you. Never once have I ridden that poem. And so, yeah, he wakes the mummy up, and the mummy... We've seen the mummy so many times, but the mummy still gets like a slow reveal here as this door slides open. And you're like, wait, is it gonna be? It just might be. You're right, it is the mummy.
Oh, God. With the slow reveal, all I could think was, have they improved the makeup? Is this the actual makeup? Is this the better job?
Because he's now Uber Mummy. That's right. He's grown stronger, and now he wears armor.
No, it's still kind of tall, rangy, beer gut mummy that we've had.
And he's been snacking nonstop in there.
I mean, have you seen the craft service table? All those scones!
Put that donut down.
No, it'd be scones.
It'd be scones.
Come on, man. They're the UK.
Yeah, it's scones.
Scones.
Put the scone down. No. I don't understand. His mouth is bandaged shut, but somehow he manages to stuff years' worth of pastries in there.
It's all scones and Scotch eggs. That's the whole thing.
His one weakness, the Scotch egg.
I don't know how he can get it down since his mouth is totally just pasted over.
He finds a way.
He finds a way.
Oh, that mummy.
So he goes, yes, okay, you're going to kill me, but first kill her. She definitely desecrated your tomb. She really, really did. Oh, she loved desecrating it. And then she's like, no, that's later, actually. She has dialogue about that. Because at this point, before they can do it, John and the cops once again come busting in. And this is a full-on Cheez-It moment from Adam, who for some reason just has an entrance into the sewers right here in the basement.
I
he
don't.
just opens a door and is like, everyone into the sewer.
Into the sewer.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the set that they use for Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah, but we've never seen this set before.
You mean that underground lake like we used in last week's Evil Frankenstein?
No. Nothing like that. It's completely different.
Totally different. We just made this.
They love they love a water-based climax.
Me too. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That is TMI.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so down they go.
Down they go into the sewer, but this is pretty sweet. That's a sliding metal door, and the mummy, who's now carrying Annette into the sewer, gets through. And as Adam is going to close it, John grabs the other side of it, so they're struggling with the door. And then John finally shuts it, but Adam's hand was caught there, and it just slices his fucking hand off. And I loved it.
I love that for the obvious irony of it, but I was sitting there going, really? I mean, you can get your hand, even if it's at the wrist, caught in a metal door. Mm-hmm. It might crush that bone.
Yeah. Would it just full on sever the hand?
The severing, I don't see. I see a floppy, gross mess, but I don't see a hand just coming right off. But it does in this. And so Adam is running around going,
we see that hand get chopped off once again.
It's a
bloody stump on his arm as he's running around in the sewer with it.
I do like the way that they were like, you know what? That blood is going to get in that water. So even the water's been tinted. I was like, oh, that's nice.
And that's runoff sewage. So that water's also getting into the wound.
Well, he's not going to last long. But, so B, a.k.a. Adam, has lost his hand very, very poetically.
And I do really like the physicality of him stumbling around the sewer with his stump hand. Like, God!
And basically, the last part of the movie here is John and the cops taking their own damn sweet time.
It takes them
because
they're like, I guess we can't get this door open by any means, so we'll have to run up and come down the sewer from the street.
Well, yeah, and apparently send a rope down. But they're out of the picture for the end of it.
Right.
Really,
and
all it is
makes no sense to me.
Adam just saying, all right, do it, brother, because that's the only way this curse can be ended. You have to kill me. Also kill Annette because she did horrible things, desecrated your...
And I'm looking for a little afterlife action.
And basically the mummy, Ra, is like, you know what? Well, I'll do the killing you thing because you suck.
Yeah, but because he goes to kill Annette, and then he's like, no.
Yeah, on second thought, I just want to take you out of the picture, bro.
And then he won't. But he takes him out because B pulls a knife, and he's like, fine, I'll kill her then. And he grabs the knife and stops him. And when he stops him, there is this one awkward exposition line where Adam goes, curse you and your love for aesthetic beauty.
I know.
They're like, wait, it makes no sense why he wouldn't just kill her. We'll throw in a line about it. He loves aesthetic beauty. What?
Right. Whereas I love physical pleasure, you love aesthetic beauty. So she is so pretty that you would not kill her. All right. It could have just been he could have just gone, I don't want to kill an innocent woman.
Yeah.
No matter if she desecrated my tomb.
Then he just fucking drowns his brother in the sewer.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad. And then the ending that had two continents scratching their heads.
So the mummy drowns him, and then he's like, whew. And then he just starts to walk. He like looks back at Annette, is like, okay, we're done with that. And then he just starts to walk away, and I thought, oh my God, is he just gonna like, well, time to start the rest of my life?
No, he gets down the sewer corridor
Yeah.
close to where the door was,
Yeah.
and then he reaches up. He's got a good reach. He's a tall mummy,
Yeah.
and it's a low ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
But he reaches up, grabs a piece of mortar,
Yeah.
part of the masonry, and pulls one of the stones down of the ceiling, and then just keeps grabbing others until he's basically loosened the entire ceiling, and it all comes down on him.
Yeah.
He commits suicide by causing bricks to fall on him and crush
And it
him.
happens over a little bit of time too, because he punches. Then he kind of just stands there and waits to be crushed by the bricks.
Yeah, and
Any
was
minute
like,
now, that final brick is coming down. And
What
Annette is
the-
just standing there watching him. Is like, and then in the meantime we hear, "Oh my God, she's down here!"
Yeah, we hear John and the cops. We don't see them. They're like, she's down here. Quick, lower the rope. Annette, quick, grab the
And we
rope.
see the rope lower, and
The
then
rope
the
comes
movie
down.
ends.
Then the movie ends with one last line of dialogue.
Oh, what is it?
Voiceover from
Oh,
or Adam. I couldn't tell whose voice,
yeah.
but it's like, it was like, so your will has been carried out, Father.
Yes, that's right. Which was like, it has? Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess the curse, I mean, is like, all right, well, we finally did it. Your sons killed each other.
It's what
And
I
then,
always
yeah, then the-
wanted for my
And the
boys.
credit, yeah. I think we've all been there. My dad's constantly wanted me and my brother to just kill each other, and we'll still
one
see.
day you boys are gonna do it. I believe
we
in
both
you.
have both of our hands,
Yeah.
so we have to start working. One of us has to lose a hand.
Mhm.
Anyway, so that's the end.
God, with the fact that we don't even see John come down the rope into the sewer. We just see the rope lower, and they're like, "That's all they need. She'll be fine. We know that."
She'll be fine. She knows how to shimmy up her rope.
I thought it was going to be the rope lowers and John climbs down and grabs her, and there'd be some kind of
about
scene
that.
where once again, all I'm asking for is like "It's all over now," and then
But
"Wait a minute,
know,
were you
it's-
going to leave me for that
I
immortal
know.
evil dude?" Because I'm
Right,
not
let's-
cool
let's-
with that.
let's jump to the fan fiction of the next day, and
Yeah.
essentially all it is the guy going, "You broke my heart,"
Yeah.
and then it's just this horrible breakup scene, probably at a cafe.
Well, I didn't know
and,
he was an immortal Egyptian pharaoh.
And she's like trying to get back in there, and he's like, "No, the door is shut."
It's
on
probably
this.
he probably used some mind control powers. He didn't have that in his
He
power
didn't
set.
I know plenty about ancient Egyptian magic. That was I looked him up in the monster manual. He does not have those. Oh yeah, this John, this wasn't good.
No,
but-
cannot recommend this to our listeners.
Here's the thing. As I said, there were a couple things I liked.
Yeah.
I do like Fred Clark, so I enjoyed him.
Yeah, same here.
And weirdly, like I said to you off mic, but the way it's filmed, acted, the way it looks like live action Disney films of the same period where
Right.
there's some money spent, not as much as you think. And the pacing moves this thing along.
Yeah.
Even though we're waiting for a mummy, it's not like it's a slow movie. It's just you're going, are we going to get a mummy?
Yeah.
So it's weirdly kind of not a bad entertainment. It's just that the stars aren't great, the script's not great. But I enjoyed the fact that it was like a live action Disney film that occasionally had these out of nowhere like hands getting chopped off and people's skulls getting
Yeah.
kicked
Love
into
it,
the
man. I love all that.
I know. So
That's
they're
great.
a little bit, but man, is this the worst mummy makeup
Yeah.
and just it's not good. No, I don't recommend this at all.
It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate
Yeah.
film.
We're doing this so you don't have to.
Yes, we take these bullets for you. We've made this clear in the past, and it continues to be the case here. But maybe next week. Our boy is back.
I'm going to be inclined to enjoy next week's film. I am
Christopher
already
Lee
biased.
is back. Count Dracula is back. It is
8
Dracula.
years
8 years
after he put the cape on.
Dracula, Prince of Darkness is next week's movie. I am looking forward to this. I'm glad to be back in the Dracula. The Dracula movies were always my favorite Hammer films. I don't remember this one offhand specifically because they all kind of blend together at a certain point.
I remember this one very specifically.
Okay.
This is also Terrence Fisher and Jimmy Sangster back,
Nice.
though it is the last time
No,
they will do Dracula.
No, Sangster
and
had to write for I Dream of
Sangster.
Jeannie. He was born to do it.
Sangster also had serious problems with the cuts that were made because of the censors. This is ahead of scenes, behind the scenes stuff. So he changed his name for the credits. He took his name off of it. So it's like John Samson or something, but it's Jimmy Sangster. I don't even care.
Let me have my blood orgy. I don't understand.
It's probably something like that, and it probably is like, don't cut that shit. And then they did. He's like, well, my name's now Samson.
Yeah, that was the whole movie. That scene.
I don't care, and this will probably not measure up to what I remember as a kid, but I am still
Lee
happy.
No Cushing in this one.
We have Lee No Cushing, but Lee back in that cape, man.
Oh man, I know. I've been missing it. I've been jonesing for Lee as Dracula.
He's coming. He's a coming.
Yeah.
Dracula, Prince of Darkness, the return of the man himself. So very excited.
Absolutely. But that's going to
join us, won't you?
Yes. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.